from the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
A heat advisory in effect today and tomorrow. Partly cloudy today with a high of 93 as the heat index tops out anywhere from 100 to 108 depending on your location. Slight chance of a pop-up storm this afternoon. A warm night ahead with a low of only 79. A few weakening storms around early Tuesday morning. And then finally, a cold front moves through tomorrow, but that's after we hit a high of 94 with the heat index around 102. Much more comfortable Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
We know it's early. Mike's not totally awake yet either. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Well, top of the morning to you. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Good morning. Happy Monday. Mike Ferguson here. Appreciate you making News Talk STL part of your Monday now that we are in our 6th year on the air. Yep, yesterday, Sunday, was our 5-year mark on the air. So once again, I know I said this on Friday, but thank you all for making that happen. And if you've come on board since then, well, we're really, really glad you're here. Just onward and upward from here. Okay, so late last week, as you know, President Trump made his address to the nation, a fairly short one by Donald Trump standards, 25 minutes or so. But he brought up the subject of election integrity again. And while there's a lot of partisan bickering about all of that, the question really remains is how do we get to a process where we have faith in the elections that they are accurate? And by the way, we're going to talk to Congressman Bob Onder about that around 7:35. Well, Stephen Richer is from Maricopa County. Matter of fact, he was the county recorder back when they had the spotlight really on them. So he knows a thing or two about being under pressure for this type of thing. And he was on the show with us on Friday. And here's the perspective that he had. Okay, there's the politics of election reform, and then there's the real question. What's it going to take to have election integrity that we can trust? That's the nonpartisan goal. Some would say bipartisan. I would say the nonpartisan goal because it's a foundational part of a republic. Is that if we're going to say the people will elect our leaders, the people will make the decisions in a democratic process, then we need to be able to trust that democratic process. And there's a lot of mistrust of the democratic process, and that's fair in a lot of ways. So the president goes on national television Thursday, and he gives his address and makes a lot of ramped up accusations regarding China and voter files and influence on the elections in 2020 and 2016. So you sort through all of that and you say, okay, so how do we fix whatever problems are real and confirmed and are not just partisan talking points? Okay, let's dig into that right now. We are joined now by Stephen Richer. Now, Stephen Richer, a place that's certainly no stranger to the spotlight, former Maricopa County recorder. So, Stephen, appreciate you being on the program here. You guys have been in the spotlight a time or two for a variety of things. So did you...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you check out the president's speech last night, and his theme of election integrity and election reform, nothing new. What was your takeaway from his assertions, basically, that if we don't fix this problem, we don't have a country at some point? What's real? What's not? What's hyperbole? What is urgent?
Well, the president's the master of hyperbole, but I certainly agree with the underlying sentiment that our election system is highly important and that we should continue to work to make it better. I think the documents released by the White House, by the president, have some good points to them. For instance, the vulnerability of any electronic machines is certainly something that we all know, and that's why more and more states have shifted to 100% paper ballots. That's why more and more states are doing post-election hand count audits, and I think that these are practices that should be celebrated and should be encouraged, and states should continue to push for. Now, some of the stuff that the president alleged, we're still waiting for some more documents to get a little more information on just how real it is and what the federal government's methodology was, especially things about like non-citizens voting. But that's something that I'll keep an eye on and want to continue the conversation.
Okay, so then the big question comes down to this should not be a Republican or a Democrat thing. This should not be a MAGA or whatever thing. But what are the concrete steps that we can and should be doing across the country to ensure that we can trust these election results, whether or not I like the results of it? You know, sometimes I'm going to win, sometimes I'm going to lose, Stephen. So what are some of the things that every entity should be looking at doing right now?
Yeah, so the president, to his credit, did not make relitigating the 2020 election at least the focus of his speech last night. He did make it about moving forward, and the documents that were released, a lot of them had to do with cybersecurity practices. So just basic hygiene of all the equipment that you're using, phishing campaigns, the type of stuff that you do in your office, updating your software, using thorough passwords, doing dual factor authentication. Election jurisdictions are subject to a lot of the same pressures that any other workplace is. Only election jurisdictions are holding particularly valuable information. But again, I want to reiterate that elections are on paper ballots that are tabulated by tabulators on closed circuits that aren't connected to the internet. And so we have a real strength there that we should continue to take advantage of.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think a lot of people maybe conflate a little bit as far as machines tabulating the paper ballots. Like where I vote here in the St. Louis area, it's a paper ballot. Now, I was on the Help America Vote Act committee for the state of Missouri all those years ago when the companies came in and they were trying to sell us on the electronic votes. And I remember, Stephen, we did a demonstration when we were at the Secretary of State's office back in 2000, whatever it was. And, we had the votes between, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Yep. And then you clicked on the screen and they said, see, it's that easy. And my question was, okay, well, where's my vote? Oh, it's already been counted. Well, what if there's an audit? Well, we just run the thing. And they lost us all right there, regardless of what political party we were with. So we vote on paper ballots here, but there's a lot of people who have concerns about the machines tabulating those. And there's two elements to this from what I hear you're saying. One is who's counting them accurately, and then there's the audits. And then there's the fact that a lot of people think those machines are connected to the Wi-Fi or connected to the internet, and they're actually not in most cases.
That's right. And so a little bit of voting history there, going back to that Help America Vote Act, is to remember that the problem in 2000 in Florida was with the hanging chad, those little pieces of paper that didn't punch all the way through. And so tabulation manufacturers said, well, this is great, we'll get rid of the paper. But then the election security community and people like you said, no, paper is very important because it has a unhackable paper, auditable paper trail. But some of the other stuff that the president was talking about is stuff that's worth visiting, but it's important to sort of distinguish what we're talking about. So when you talk about interference by China, yes, China tries to sow disinformation and hate in the United States. Yes, China targets websites, but none of that is connected to the tabulators. None of that is connected to, of course, the physical paper ballots. And to be able to vote in this country, you still have to make sure that you're a real person. And if you're voting in person, you have to show up to the actual voting location. And until Chinese operatives figure out how to manipulate the minds of Americans, then their reach is limited by that factor.
There's a lot being made right now of the president's accusation that China has obtained 220 million files on voters in America. What type of information could they get, and what could they do with it if that's the case?
So I think most Americans don't appreciate fully how much of that information is already public. For instance, in Arizona, anyone can ask for the voter registration public list, which includes your full name, your address, your date of birth, which party you're registered with, and if you've voted in past elections. So, yes, foreign adversaries can, of course, collect that information, as well as all real estate companies. They often collect that information. What is far more sensitive is if you go behind the curtain, voter registration databases also have the last four of your Social Security, or they have your driver's license number. And the documents released by the White House and President Trump's speech didn't clarify if foreign adversaries have been able to get any of that information. And if they have, while it would constitute a real data privacy concern, it wouldn't, again, change who's actually voting. It wouldn't corrupt the paper ballots, subject to all the constraints and protections that are built into the disaggregated American election system.
We are visiting with Stephen Richer. He's the former Maricopa County recorder. So when we look at, there's the we should all want election integrity. That should be the baseline thing, which is unfortunate because you've got the partisan argument over things like the Save America Act when the goal should be shared with everybody. So are there just different views on what constitutes election integrity? Seems like a pretty simple concept to me, Stephen.
There's certainly different goals and views as far as the public policy of it. So, for instance, some on the Democrats, I disagree with them, but they're very careful about not unduly burdening the franchise with voter identification requirements, with documented proof of citizenship requirements. They also want you to be able to mail your ballot even on election day, as we see in California, Oregon, and Washington. Republicans usually don't sign on to that type of stuff. That's where I line up. That being said, that's a public policy debate. What disappoints me is that we have so many debates about the facts on the ground, and that many sides have an interest in, using heightened rhetoric to stir up the emotions of some of their crowd. The one thing that did disappoint me in the speech is that the president turned to more of a sort of a legislative rallying cry at the end. And, I thought this was going to be mostly just about we all want good elections, but then it turned into we got to pass this legislation.
What do you think of that legislation, of the Save America Act? Because a lot of people don't, I think, realize that elections constitutionally are run by the states, although there's obviously a federal interest and there is a place for the federal government that they can set some rules. But what do you make of the actual Save America Act itself?
I'm supportive of the underlying concepts, which is, again, voter identification when showing up to vote, and when registering to vote, documented proof of citizenship. But the devil is in the details, and I think that it leaves a lot to be desired from an administrative standpoint. I also don't think that now is the appropriate time to be implementing a massive change to our national election infrastructure. And yeah, I'm still a sucker for states' rights and for states figuring out how to do this. Many states, including Arizona, already have a documented proof of citizenship requirement. And I think that states can figure that out if left to their own devices. And then hopefully they can come up with some smart ideas that other states can copy. Certainly Florida, which was once denounced in terms of election administration, is now a model that a lot of states are trying to copy.
All right, Stephen, I just got a couple minutes left here. We talk about the confidence in the elections, because the accuracy is one thing, but people need to know that it's accurate, and the confidence is another aspect, because this is one of the foundations of a republic, that we have confidence in the process itself, so we can focus on the policy and the candidates and the personalities. So when you look at what's being proposed, if this isn't the right time for a massive overhaul, can legitimate confidence, I'm not talking about giving us a snow job, but a legitimate confidence in elections happen without some major overhaul? Because that's what the president's really calling for, is this major overhaul. If this isn't the time to do it, then how do we reach that confidence in the process?
Yeah, I do think incrementalism makes a lot of sense, but we had high confidence. Following the 2024 election, about 80% of Americans believe that the 2024 election was fairly lawfully and accurately tabulated. Now, in the intervening year and a half, that's dropped to about 60%. I think Democrats are up in arms about any action that the federal government might take, and Republicans are again hearing the slow, steady drumbeat from President Trump about the vulnerabilities, the alleged vulnerabilities in our election system. And so while I again salute President Trump's interest in securing elections, interest in building confidence, I wish he and many of his allies would be a little more judicious in how they talk about this, because I liken it to a criminal investigation where you wouldn't go and say somebody's guilty if you're not done with your criminal investigation. Similarly, you should be very careful to say our election system is wholly undefensible, which is, I think, language that the president used last night, unless you really, really, really conclude that. And I don't think that the president ultimately really concludes that. I think he thinks that the Republicans can win, and I think that he's going to make sure his party, my party, competes really strenuously in the midterm elections coming up. How
confident are you that the results of the midterm elections are going to be accurate?
I'm very confident. I'm less confident that it will be completely happy and harmonious and everyone will have confidence. That does not seem to be the current fate for election administration in the United States. I also think that we'll focus on some jurisdictions that have traditionally received less coverage, just because I think we're going to have some competitive U.S. House races in places like California, which isn't super interesting from a presidential standpoint, but has some competitive U.S. House races. And so I think it could shift the focus a little bit away from the traditional sort of Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin's, Arizona's, Nevadas, and a few of these. We might learn a few more county names other than just my county, Maricopa County, though I appreciate that you all still remember that.
All right, 314-912-1019. Always welcome to have you be a part of the program here. Once again, like I said a few minutes ago, Congressman Bob Onder scheduled to be with us right around 7:35 on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
We attacked Cargill Island last night. There's not a thing they can do about it. They'll agree on everything, and then they'll go have a news conference and say we never even talked about it. They're cuckoo.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
Water, power, internet, and sewer are all essential services we rely on, and all are buried underground and out of sight. Hitting one could mean big trouble. Contact Missouri 811 before you dig to avoid costly repairs and outages. It's free, it's easy, and it's the law.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
It's the law. Sponsored by Missouri 811.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
I'm in my late 60s. My husband died a few years ago. He did all of our taxes. I sold a piece of property last year, and I forgot to claim the proceeds of the sale. Next thing I know, I got a letter from the IRS telling me that I owe over $50,000. Now I have a huge tax problem. I don't have that kind of money. I wish I knew who to call.
If you sold property in the last calendar year or didn't claim all of your part-time or even retirement income, you could be in big trouble with the IRS. Call first before they send you a letter. If you've already got a letter, call. We'll help you file years of past tax returns and save you time and money. So call the tax doctor. The call is confidential and free.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We mentioned this last week. You may want to top off your gas from time to time. Don't let it get all the way down to empty because we thought, gas prices. We'll see what's going to happen. We're still getting all squirrely over in Iran, and things have gotten uglier. Obviously, we've had 2 more U.S. service members killed over the weekend. Compared to other conflicts, the number is very, very, very low. But what I hope nobody does is say, well, it's only a few. It's not a big deal. These are human lives lost of our service members. So I do want to appreciate and say, okay, the casualty cost is nowhere near what we've had in the past because of technology and because of the weaponry that's been developed. And at the same time, this is still having an impact on us. I was driving in this morning and I saw it was about 360. Of course, so we've had it. That's a big increase from where we've had in the past.
Yeah, and that's not to mention the hundreds of injuries that we've had. Many of them have been actual, not just like a little scrape or bruise, but some of these people are having head trauma and other sorts of harm to their bodies. So obviously, thank you to everybody that's serving for us right now. But in the same vein, I don't think we should look at this as not that many have died. I think we should look at this as this could have been potentially preventable if we had done more research and intel into this in the first hand.
Yeah, and we'll talk to Congressman Bob Onder around 7:35 because now we're into 8-9 days straight of more strikes, and I think it's obvious that the administration has underestimated their enemy.
Yeah,
you don't have to be a military expert to say we've been hearing for months that it's already over. We're cleaning up. They're desperate to make a deal. They don't have anything left. We've wiped it. Well, clearly not.
At the very least, somebody out there is supplying them the means to be able to not have to totally cave in and give unconditional surrender.
Right, exactly. So we'll have some more updates on that. But the direct impact on all of us is the gas prices, and so you watch for that. My guess is it's going to keep creeping up. Now, how much and for how long, I don't know, because the order of things is they are working to increase the flow of crude oil, and obviously in the U.S. here, it's amazing how easy it is to shut off the supply of energy. For literally the first thing the Biden administration did on day one after they got into office, shut off a lot of our energy, distribution, and that sends a signal. Stuff gets shut down, gets moved around the world, because this entire energy industry is bigger than whatever's in your backyard, obviously, and bigger than any one nation. And you can shut it off real easy, but you don't flip the switch and it all starts flowing again right away. So This is a residual effect of years of bad policy that's affecting us. And now, we can, hindsight, years down the road, will tell us whether this war in Iran was a good or bad idea. So far, it's costing us more money, and it's costing us the cost of living in a lot of areas, not just the gas prices, but others. Then the argument is it was worth it, we should do it, or no, it wasn't, but time will tell on that.
Yeah, that's what's frustrating is how many times I hear, well, it's for the grandkids, it's for the younger generations. That's why we're doing all this right now, but we're going to be the ones stuck with the bill. It's like if I show up to your house and start mowing your lawn and say, hey, I did that for you, by the way, here's the bill for it. I would rather have the opportunity now to keep costs as low as possible, start building a future, and then we can deal with it later.
Yeah, let me completely, related to gas, but completely other rant I'm going to do. So I go to the, I filled up just about a mile and a half down the road here is on Dorset is the Circle K there. And there's the Mobile and the Circle K. I went and just bought 25 gallons of gas, or $25 worth of gas last week on it. And they put a $50 hold on your account. That's that's how they pre-authorize it. I bought 25. They never gave me my other 25 back.
What?
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet. Now, it's not the local folks. They don't have any control over that. That's in some God knows where thing. But I'm just saying that kind of makes me mad.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at HerzogMoScholars.org. That's HerzogMoScholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com. That's HerzogFoundation.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Perjury is not a thing anymore if you are testifying against Donald Trump.
Right, but they're under oath.
So was Cassidy Hutchinson.
You're right. No.
Cassidy Hutchinson was under oath.
No, you're right.
Saying
and she
that
lied.
Donald Trump grabbed the wheel of the beast when she wasn't even in the car. It was hearsay to begin with, and nothing happened to her. Nothing happened to Liz Cheney, who coached her.
You're learning my cynicism from me.
That's right. That's right.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
From Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. America is raining fire down on Iran. Retaliation for the deaths of several American service members over the weekend.
The U.S. conducted a new round of airstrikes early Monday, targeting Iran after announcing the death of another service member, hitting close to a northwestern city believed to be home to an underground missile base. Iran responding by launching an attack targeting Bahrain, the home of the U.S.'s Fifth Fleet and Kuwait. The latest attack again showed how, step by step, the US and Iran have inched closer to all-out war, as last month's interim deal meant to permanently end the fighting has crumbled, and shipping traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has largely stalled. Both sides have targeted civilian infrastructure relied on by millions of people. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
AAA reports gas prices have risen to a national average $4 per gallon. Between sweltering heat and smothering humidity, choking wildfire smoke, flooding rains, and deadly tornadoes, this summer has brought some wicked weather. Tragic case in point.
5 family members who had set out for a day of hiking were killed after a flash flood swept through canyons of southern Utah Friday, according to law enforcement officials. The victims were a captain in the Provo, Utah Fire Department, his wife, and their sons, according to fire officials. A daughter who was not on the trip survived.
Correspondent Julie Walker. Congratulations to World Cup champion Spain, a 1-0 win over defending champion Argentina. The World Cup final, MetLife Stadium. Vice President Vance and Second Lady Usha welcomed their 4th child, their son, Alec Neil Vance, first child born to a sitting vice president in more than 150 years. Stock futures suggest a higher open later this morning on Wall Street. The Dow futures up 106 points. NASDAQ futures ahead almost 200 points, and the S&P futures are up 24 points. More on these stories, townhall.com. The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options, debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A heat advisory in effect today and tomorrow. Partly cloudy today with a high of 93 as the heat index tops out anywhere from 100 to 108 depending on your location. Slight chance of a pop-up storm this afternoon. A warm night ahead with a low of only 79. A few weakening storms around early Tuesday morning. And then finally, a cold front moves through tomorrow, but that's after we hit a high of 94 with a heat index around 102. Much more comfortable Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. News Talk STL is celebrating our 5th birthday. And we're giving away a limited edition News Talk STL America 250 t-shirts. It's exclusive, it's collectible, and it could be yours. Just head to NewsTalkSTL.com to register.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, News Talk.
Been listening since day one. Happy birthday to my talk station.
5 years, happy birthday.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL. Happy birthday to us, and good luck to you.
Hello, Kirk Hilsinger, Chairman of the Republican Party, City of St. Louis. We are urging everyone to get out and vote this August primary. We need your vote every election. We remind you to vote yes on Amendment 4. Stop out-of-town money from being used to bypass your elected state legislators. And vote yes on Amendment 5. Tell businesses fleeing high-tax states like Illinois that Missouri is open for business and help lower our income and personal property taxes. Help us fight democratic socialism in its backyard by visiting stl-gop.com and donate, come to a meeting, or volunteer to help out.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not Trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Saw some media coverage of the rallies around the state against Amendments 4 and 5 because a lot of the opponents, and we're talking the left and then some folks who are claiming to be conservatives, but I question that. So they got a lot of media coverage around the state over the weekend. We'll get into that in a second here. And Jerome,
we have a guest.
We have somebody here.
Who might this be?
It's not Susie.
Susie got a haircut.
Hey guys,
Gabe's back.
Yeah, they got the band back together.
That's right. Just for the day. Susie's off for a few days. Mm-hmm. And so always great to have you back in the studio here.
Absolutely. I had to add the early morning wake up to my schedule this week. It's like it's a little rough still, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
It's always good once I get into the studio. It's like, okay, yeah, this is why I interrupted Rem.
And you still have your News Talk t-shirt.
I do, and it still fits.
That's the OG one. That's the old one.
Oh yeah.
That was given to us in the old studios back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of the founders.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Well, and we'll mention this a little bit later on, but we actually were all hanging out last night because yesterday was the actual 5th anniversary of us going on the air.
Like to the day.
Yeah, that was Sunday. So I want to kind of go through that just a little bit later because we are now in our 6th year. And remember, when we started this, all the experts in the industry, they all told us there was no way.
It's like, why are you doing this? This is not going to work.
Like, this ain't going to happen. No,
never going to work.
Oh, no. And so
you're
clearly,
going up against the behemoth companies that own everything, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And so that's where that is. So we'll get into that in just a little bit here.
Still here.
That's right.
MFers.
6:07 right now. Yeah, I couldn't help but notice rallies, labor groups, far left groups, Democratic Socialist, and then they bring in some folks to say, no, we're the Republican opposition,
right.
And so amendments 4 and 5, and there's first of all, have your rallies. I mean, whatever, that's
sure.
that's your thing, but I couldn't help but notice the media coverage. And I sent you the link in the prep sheet there. I think it was Channel 2's coverage, and in mid-Missouri, you see it, KRCG and KOMU, and on the Kansas City side, you see it on the local media because they had this kind of roving thing. And I guess some of them were okay sized, but I can't help compare that to the lack of coverage for all of the Pro 4 and Pro 5 events. You're not seeing that coverage of that.
I wonder why.
Yeah, at one of the Amendment 5 events, I think I was told that like a local TV station showed up to 1 or 2 of them, but you're not seeing the coverage of those rallies. And for instance, even when the governor and White House economic advisor Aaron Hedlund were doing a presentation last week, there was no coverage of anything like that. We had our big event with Americans for Prosperity months ago, which kicked off their tour and question and answer session, and we asked some very tough questions on this. Packed house at the Lodge in Des Peres. I mean, it was a lot of people out there. No coverage of that. Whatsoever.
The media has learned that the next best thing to misinformation and disinformation is no information.
Right.
So they've decided that when it comes to certain things, especially if it's an elected official on our side wanting to come to a podium to talk things, they've decided, well, if we simply gatekeep the audience, we can actually have just as much of an effect, and they can't say, oh, well, you're biased because of the way you're covering, because I'm not covering it at all.
Yeah. Now, are they required by duty to cover everything out there every event?
Of course not.
No, they're not. But if you're gonna give pretty robust coverage to one side of the argument, you should give it to the other side of the argument as well. That's just journalism 101.
You would think journalistic ethics would kind of take over there, but of course, journalistic ethics is currently an oxymoron.
Very much so. Yeah, so I just found that interesting, and I'm reading the coverage, and it sounds, that there wasn't anything in the coverage that I thought, was it sympathetic? Yeah, pretty much. And, do they do the token? They call somebody their side, and there's a sentence or two in rebuttal. Okay, that's fine, But that's how you would cover the other side as well. Where we're looking at right now is, these are both important. Don't get me wrong. 4 and 5 are important. But the strategy that you're seeing is on the left. And when I say on the left, I'm saying also those people who are claiming to be conservatives, who were throwing in with the socialists and throwing in with the labor unions and throwing in with the teachers unions and throwing in with the the far left type stuff,
which makes me doubt your credentials.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, continue.
so when their now strategy, I think they see that Amendment 5 is now an uphill battle.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be tough on Amendment 5, but they want to lump in Amendment 4, and the lies about Amendment 4
they're pretty epic, actually.
Oh my gosh, they are.
I've seen, and the thing is, besides listening to NewsTalkSTL on the NewsTalkSTL app, which you can get at the App Store.
How much?
Besides that,
for how much?
For free.
For free, I can afford that.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, anyway,
exactly beats inflation every single time. But besides that, I listen to like YouTube videos and things like that when I'm putzing around the house or what have you. And of course, because I don't have the premium stuff, I get the ads, and ads are localized by your IP address and whatnot. So I've been getting the anti-Amendment 4 ads. I'm like, gosh, I'm trying to go online to escape commercials and the political ads of the season, and I still get them. But they're pretty terrible because we know what Amendment 4 is about, but the way they cast it is kind of amazing.
Well, and I've seen the most common theme is this takes away majority rule, which is the opposite of what's true. on Amendment 4. I'm more worried about Amendment 4 right now than I am Amendment 5. So the other part is I saw one that actually said is that it prevents the people of Missouri from petitioning their government or putting something on the ballot. That is 100% false.
Yeah.
It
not even an exaggeration.
I mean, there's absolutely nothing in there on that. And listen, if you're against Amendment 4 and you've vetted it and you've come to a different conclusion than I have, okay, fine. But let's agree that we're going to tell the truth. The thing about Amendment 4 is that this pertains only to the state constitution. And so when they say this, I actually saw one claim in one post, and I don't remember what group. It was a group I'd never heard of before. Like, Amendment 4 would prevent us the people from passing laws.
Yeah.
It doesn't do a thing to passing laws by putting stuff on the ballot. Absolutely nothing. The special interest group can still come in and buy a law.
Right.
They just can't buy a constitutional amendment.
Right.
That's the difference. And that's very nuanced for a lot of people, but there's a lot of people who are looking at this going, oh, well, now if Amendment 4 passes, then we can't do a referendum. We can't do an initiative. Yes, you can. You just can't put it permanently in the state constitution without a slightly higher bar, and it's not that high of a bar. You still have to have 50% plus one across the state. You still have to have a majority. You just have to have an agreement that all parts of the state are on board with a constitutional amendment.
Yeah.
If you want to pass a law, you can go to Kansas City and St. Louis and pass that.
Right.
You can do that still, and then the legislature can be a check on it.
Right. And that's kind of how, the rest of the federal government works. If you want to pass an amendment to the U.S. Constitution, it isn't just a popular election across America, right? You still have to win the 50 states.
The state constitution should not be a moment in time of what's popular.
Right.
There should be more thought. There should be more vetting. But this is the thing that I look at when it comes to Amendment 4 is like, it does not change your ability to pass a referendum.
Exactly.
Nothing changes. You can still pass the law, or you can still repeal a law, or you can still amend a law. You can still do that. Nothing changes. It's only with the state constitution. Well, what's going on?
We've got our friend Dave.
All right, Dave, we are up against the information segment, so if I could get you to keep it real concise.
Good luck with that, Mike. Hey, I just wanted to say it's good to hear my good friend Chris in the morning.
Oh,
he got me.
Oh.
He got
me. Wait a minute. I'm getting ready to say something that's going to upset the other side. All you black guys look alike to me.
Oh no, he did it. He did it.
I did.
I love you, Dave, because Dave is like my number one fan. And it's funny is Chris and I were joking at the party.
Yeah, at the party last night.
Chris was like, "You got to come back. The ratio's off."
Hey, it's great to hear you in the morning. I know the other side's headrest. He thinks all black people look alike. Yeah, so do Mexicans. Now what?
Oh no!
Wow,
Dave's throwing bombs this morning.
Starting off hot, man.
Good Monday, everybody.
I am. Hey, here's the best way I figured out how to vote. Whatever the other side says, I'll do some investigating on it. But normally, especially nowadays, they show all their cards. As Vic would say, they don't have a poker face because they're not smart enough. So I just vote the opposite of them, and so far so good.
Mm-hmm.
The percentage in which that actually is the case is really, really high.
Right.
Now, again, I encourage everybody to do your research. Like Dave said, he starts with the thing. But yeah, at this point, it's almost like whatever you say, the opposite is true. I mean, it's pretty much that way.
Yeah.
And another thing that I wanted to get in here, leftist politics seems to live in the realm of ignorance. Either they're going to behave as though they are ignorant of what your actual position is and fight the straw man they've built around you. That's the rhetorical ignorance that they use. Or it's we're ignorant of the law that is trying to be passed because we didn't actually read it. So we're going to talk against the straw man that we built in its place. Or we're going to keep the populace as ignorant as possible through the school system and be able to manipulate them to do whatever we want. So leftist activism within the political realm is all built on ignorance, which is why they're going to ignorantly talk about Dave's comment there and say, "See, look at what these writers run," and kind of miss the joke.
Normally, Mr. Smart Guy, I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm only going to agree with you 50%.
Okay.
I agree. They grab a hold of the dumbest of populations, and unfortunately, those morons have decided to have kids. So we know they're not producing rocket scientists. But I think everything the left does is cold calculated, and they feed on the dumbest of dumb. They make Forrest Gump look as smart as you.
Appreciate it, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys. Love the show. Bye-bye now.
All right, the World Cup is over. Why don't most Americans see the beautiful game the same way that the rest of the world does? So let's compare notes on that at 6:20. We were actually watching it at the party that I want to mention here as well, because it was about our anniversary here.
Morning people are good, pure, moral, honest, hardworking, and upright. Night people are bad, immoral, dishonest, lazy, and downright.
Tired of big corporate repair shops? Jam & J Auto and Tire is family owned and St. Louis proud. 16 years of honest answers, even when it's not what you want to hear. Get a digital inspection sent straight to your phone. Photos and videos of exactly what we found. No guesswork, no pressure. Just a trained service advisor helping you make the right call. Contactless drop-off, loyalty rewards, and fleets welcome. All backed by a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty. Jam & J Auto and Tire on Page Avenue in Overland. Book today at jamandjauto.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, Jamie Allman here, looking for the ultimate escape? Well, welcome to Santino's, where luxury meets authenticity in a stunning 6,000 square foot destination. Browse hundreds of premium cigars in the walk-in humidor. Explore more than 700 bottles of whiskey. Whether it's their non-smoking wine room, gaming lounge with custom poker tables, it's Santino's just off Highway 55 at the Imperial exit. See them at Santino'sCigarCocktails.com. That's Santino'sCigarCocktails.com.
Told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. I said, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
I see what you did there.
You got it.
You saw it. All right, the World Cup's over, but I think most Americans went back to not caring about soccer after the U.S. national team.
Very quickly. It was a
very
huge, quick turn there.
I think Americans are having, or have had, because now it's over, had a lot of fun with the World Cup.
Sure.
And everybody coming here and all that sort of thing. So if you haven't heard, and I suspect most people have, Spain beat Argentina in overtime, or whatever they call it in soccer.
Yeah.
And we were kind of sort of watching it at our News Talk STL party last night.
It was on the screen.
Right. It was on the screen. And I think like in the cocktail mixer time, we're all like watching and, nodding our head. And that's really, and then everybody kind of showed up and we all started chatting and visiting and reminiscing. And then at some point we looked up like, oh, it's
yeah.
Who won? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was nothing for quite a while, right?
Nothing for like 2+ hours,
right?
Like,
exactly,
literally.
Yeah. So Spain, and I just happened to catch it out of the corner. And I was, it looks like Spain got one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there was a guy from Argentina who
Argentina.
Yeah. What was that again? Because Stell was like adamant about this.
Yeah. So Stell actually was coaching me on this. This is how important it is to him. So Argentina or Argentina. Apparently, they were playing in the match too.
That's how you're supposed to say it. Apparently.
Apparently, sounds like
You're welcome, Stell.
sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger was.
Argentina.
So we were watching it a little bit, and it was funny because to the rest of the world, that's one of the most thrilling, drama-filled World Cup championships they have had. Apparently.
Okay, as a close game, I guess.
Right, close
kind of
game,
thing.
a lot of drama.
Mhm.
Like the one guy got a yellow card, and then he had another yellow card somewhere in the thing, and so he ended up with a red card, and then he got ejected, and so Argentina had to play with 10 guys, and that's how it goes. And I'm looking at this going, see, the reason the rest of the world is enamored with that championship is the exact reason Americans don't tune in.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
And I watched a couple World Cup games. It was like good background stuff for me. I was not glued to the TV like when I'm watching a baseball game.
Right.
Or I'm watching like the Battlehawks or
Mhm.
whatever, or a college basketball game or something like that. So, it's like, it's fine. I'm not anti-soccer. I played soccer as a kid.
Sure.
But when we look at 2+ hours, because they play 90 minutes and then they have the extra time, and then after the extra time they were still tied at 0-0.
So then they have an overtime period.
They have two
overtime periods.
So they
Okay.
basically have a mini game after the game,
Right.
because each half in the regular game is 45 minutes for a
Right.
90-minute game,
Mhm.
and then they have a mini game after that, so 2 15-minute segments,
Okay.
or 2 15-minute halves. And so you're looking at an hour and a half,
Mhm.
and then another half hour.
Mhm.
So you're looking at 2 hours of regulation, and then all the extra time they add at the end.
Right.
So you're looking at
you're in deep in terms of invested time.
you're looking at like it ended up being like 2 hours and 15 minutes or 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that
Mhm.
when you add in the extra time for all of it.
Right.
One goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
One goal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the rest of the world looks at it, they're like, how exciting. And we're like, nothing's happened.
Nah.
But that's not how they see it, because they see the back and forth and field position and chess game and all that kind of stuff.
So as a hockey fan myself, I understand that sometimes you will have something that only ends 1-0 or 2-1,
Right.
something of that nature.
Low scores are very common in hockey.
But at the same time, things are happening.
Right. I mean,
That's a
apparently,
big difference for me.
like, one of the teams, I forgot which one, they did a stat. I think you and I were looking at it when this showed up on the field,
Mhm.
and it's like one team had taken like 14 shots on goal or something like that. I think it was
Yeah.
Spain.
Yeah.
And Argentina had not taken one single shot on goal.
Yeah, and we were like 90 minutes in.
And hockey, though, you've got shots on goal. You've got a lot. If the goalie's getting peppered, you still got an exciting game, whether it goes in the net or not.
Well, and also the momentum can turn a lot faster in hockey than it can
Right.
in soccer. So yeah, that 0-0 score could, one breakaway and all of a sudden,
Right.
and then another breakaway, and I've seen this happen in hockey, which is why it feels much more exciting. Obviously, also being a much smaller playing surface, the speed of the game because they're on ice, it's a different experience, I think, and because of the potential for high scoring, it makes it more exciting for Americans to watch. Soccer, on the other hand, it feels so slow because there are points where you could just be standing on the field with the ball at your feet and no one's moving.
Right. Yeah.
That feels weird.
So let's review what Americans have learned about soccer during the World Cup. All right? Because here's the primer. Here's what we've learned.
The coach of the U.S. men's team is Russell Crowe. Players spend 60% of the game rolling around and holding their knee. They are miraculously healed when the referee pays no attention. Red cards are negotiable. Norway's best player is Dolph Lundgren. Every referee looks like a James Bond villain. The main thing we learned from the World Cup is that we can go back to not caring about soccer.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. America, I think we like to flirt with these things that the world likes, and we try to make them as fun as possible. We Americanize it. We make it gigantic. We fly jets over stadiums, and we now. I heard that we're deficient in our chants. Like we have to bring our chant game up, for soccer. But hey, we're still learning. We're still baby soccer fans over here.
Here's what I think should be bigger in the U.S.
Okay.
Indoor soccer.
Okay.
Because it's got all those elements of hockey that you just talked about, Jerome, but it's still like soccer and all the skills. And for instance, I enjoy the ambush games. I when I go watch them at the Family Arena, or their games are almost always live on YouTube TV for free. And so that's, like, to me, the perfect combination of both. But most people don't know that there is a professional indoor soccer league, and it moves pretty fast. Not as fast as hockey, but it's like in that happy medium.
We already have hockey plus soccer. It's called rugby. And it is quite intense.
I suppose there is that aspect of it.
Yeah. So anyway, we were watching that, but then we were watching this at we basically the bosses here rented out a nice restaurant that was
Italian place.
Yeah, that was not open on Sunday night. So we rented it out. I say we, the bosses did, just to celebrate our 5 years on the air. And
that was so cool.
It was so much fun, and it was. If you were here from the beginning and you came out, and so we didn't publicize this, and there's pictures. I don't know if they're up on the website, but they're up on our social media now. If you want to see some of the pictures, Jamie Allman was taking selfies with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to Jamie's social media, it's there. But it was fun, which is like perfect why you're here today. That Susie's off for the next few days. Is that and Gabe's just here today,
right?
So
yeah,
Billy Crow's in tomorrow, and Stuart McMillan from the Heartlander News is
oh, nice,
on Wednesday.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're just kind of reminiscing when we started this ragtag group that they told this is never going to work,
mm-hmm.
and here we are, and it's working. It's a business that's growing, and it's still, despite the other. I mean, if you go into the Post-Dispatch. They know who's at KMOX.
Right.
They know who's at a lot of but do they pay attention to us? No, they know we're here, but they're not going to pay attention to us. The Business Journal, I've got some good relationships with over there, but it's a matter of we set this up, and you all, meaning everybody who's watching and listening, you all ran with this, and because remember, we were reminiscing about the fact that the social media companies would not allow us to advertise.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They literally kicked off one of our ads that we had paid for on Facebook because we said we're a conservative
because we use the word
station.
Conservative.
Yeah, really. They flagged it for election interference, I think, was the the actual policy that we had violated by declaring that we were conservative.
Because when you start a business, part of what you get your initial capital is for marketing, advertise it, tell people that we're here. And we were talking about that last night, saying that the professionals that were brought in to help launch that, they actually warned us. They're like, Facebook's not going to let you do this. And we're like, we're not doing anything wrong. They're like, but you're using the word conservative. They're not going to let you do it. We'll try. And so they made the buy, and they did. And almost immediately, the social media companies rejected it and canceled it and would not take the money. That wasn't the hugest buy. We couldn't afford a lot, but that's what we were up against from the very beginning. So thank you to everybody who's made this happen,
mm-hmm.
and also obviously to all of the advertisers, as well. And I don't know that they're all conservative. I don't know. They just know that there's a local media business that reaches a lot of people, and they want to do business with you. So just keep that in mind.
Also keep in mind, as we get closer to Election Day on Tuesday, August 4th, keep it on NewsTalkSTL for all the details on the candidates and amendments. You can also go to NewsTalkSTL.com and click on Sample Ballot and get a sample ballot for your county. On August 4th, be sure to vote. Then listen to NewsTalkSTL Election Night for our special coverage beginning at 8. Plus, coverage of the results the next day here on NewsTalkSTL.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
I listen to News Talk STL on the app driving to work.
Download the News Talk STL app.
You got to get the News Talk STL app.
Love the app. Can listen anywhere in St. Louis.
And listen anytime. News Talk STL right on my phone. Anywhere. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A heat advisory in effect today and tomorrow. Partly cloudy today with a high of 93 as the heat index tops out anywhere from 100 to 108, depending on your location. Slight chance of a pop-up storm this afternoon. A warm night ahead with a low of only 79. A few weakening storms around early Tuesday morning. And then finally, a cold front moves through tomorrow, but that's after we hit a high of 94 with a heat index around 102. Much more comfortable Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Trisha Burns never answers the call. Trisha Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Trisha Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Trisha Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Trisha Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Trisha Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job. Cut the Bullpack paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Do we want to get right?
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, I've seen some conflicting reports on what happened over the weekend, last night, basically. Was it another teen takeover that happened? Although this one, not where you would expect. A little bit of stereotype busting on this one. So I'll get to that here in just a second. It is 8:34 right now. Hey, just kind of a quick note. Let me do a little bit of personal privilege here on this. Tomorrow, there is going to be a pretty cool baseball game that's going to happen. And I'm involved in this. I'm not playing in it, but the Cardinals are out of town. Okay, so at what used to be known as GCS, now I think it's Arsenal BG Ballpark. It's where the Grizzlies play.
Yeah.
Just on the right there in Sauget. There's going to be an all-star game. So basically, one of the leagues that I play in, called the St. Louis Men's Baseball League, we have an 18 and over division and a 30 and over division and a 40 and over division. And in Illinois, there's what's called the Montclair League, which is 18 and over. And so the two leagues have put together all-star teams, and there's going to be an all-star game. And these are mostly going to be 18 to maybe 30-ish or so. So you're going to essentially see baseball that is at a semi-pro level. Some guys formerly pro, maybe the few in there could still make it, into the pros. So that's going to happen tomorrow at 7 o'clock at Arsenal BG. I'm going to be doing the PA announcing for that game.
Hey, nice.
So they invited me out to do that. So I'm going to be there. The cost to get in is $2.
Come on.
Baseball for $2.
You can do $2.
$2 for this. So gates open at 6 o'clock. They'll actually probably be open earlier, but they will be open by 6 o'clock. And by the way, this heat wave that we're getting, that's supposed to dissipate by about 7 tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
okay.
Gates open by 6. And then, we're going to have, pregame stuff and everything. I did a little bit of, I did the PA announcing for this last year when it was at Slews Ballpark. And we actually had quite a few people turn out for this. So we're like, you know what? They said we better go to a larger area. So I don't know how many people are going to be there. The concession stands are going to be open. It's a beautiful ballpark there. But I will be up in the press box doing the PA announcing. So if you want to see some pretty darn good baseball, because St. Louis is a baseball town.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. And you may not realize that there's a lot of amateur baseball. And in Illinois, they still have town teams. And so this Montclair League is a lot of town teams. And so this is going to be the best of that league against the best of the St. Louis Men's Baseball League. And so it's going to be a good game.
It sounds
it's
fun.
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you can check that out. That's tomorrow. There's no reserve seating. It's just $2 and get whatever seat that's there. I mean, we're not going to sell out the stadium or anything like that, but there's good stuff there. So just you want to check that out. Okay, so I saw this early this morning on some of those citizen journalists kind of rogue, citizen journalism pages, and something happened on Lindbergh.
Okay.
Now, some people are calling it another teen takeover, and the video shows a bunch of young people just running wild and being chased by cops. Obviously, St. Louis County Police.
Okay, all right.
Based on the uniforms.
Well, there you go. So we have video evidence of something having happened, right?
Now,
we don't have details. Though.
No, I cannot confirm that it was a teen takeover because I just can't confirm it.
Right.
Other people said it was Cruz, because Cruz and Lindbergh's still a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cruz and Lindbergh still happens. That's been happening for decades. It's still a thing. I've seen some people say that it was Cruz and Lindbergh. Other people say it was kind of a ad hoc, kind of car show kind of thing, which doesn't make any sense late at night.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was like Cruz and Lindbergh and something got out of hand and the police got called. Others said it was a teen takeover. It looks like it's that Schnucks on South Lindbergh is what it looks like.
That's what it was the background.
That's what it looked like.
Okay. About what time are we talking?
It was very dark.
Okay.
So it would have been 7:30 or later.
Right.
And I don't know. And then the cops were chasing somebody. There was like a guy that they were clearly chasing. So I can't confirm that, except we know something happened at some point where as a whole bunch of young people, and the cops, and it was on South Lindbergh. So I keep focusing on that because this is the stereotype buster. This wasn't the hood.
Right.
You know, and even when we talked about the ones in the hood, and we had Mitch McCoy from the police department on here, he said, he goes, a lot of those kids are from the city, but a lot of them are coming in from other areas, and about half of them aren't from the city.
Yeah.
Now, some are North County, and frankly, a lot of people lump them together for right and wrong reasons. And then others no, some came from St. Charles. Some of them came from St. Louis County. So here we've got some of this here, and something happened. So that brings that bigger picture. I don't know, when you were a teenager, were there cruising areas that you would go to? Because when I was in high school, we would drive to Quincy, and you would drive and do circles around the mall, and that was your cruising. And then if you got really adventurous, you go up Broadway Street and you go up to like McDonald's and Hardee's and back, and all you were doing is looking for somebody to go into a parking lot and hang there and just hang out and talk, and you'd usually get some fast food. And then if you got really adventurous, hey, where's a party? Somebody got somebody's older brother to buy some Bartles and James or something like that, and then you'd go to something like that, and we really didn't have too many problems, although the cops were trying to run us off all the time, wherever we were, and the mall security didn't like us driving around. But this got out of hand.
I was not cool enough to hang out with anybody anywhere basically at the time. I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a nerd. A little bit of a nerd. So
refresher.
And of course I was a nerd before it was cool. It got cool somewhere around my adult life. Apparently, I'm looking around.
Were you in the wedgie area of nerds?
No. Now look, because I was part of a group called the Young Marines.
Yeah.
I didn't get the physical stuff. I just got the exclusion and talking behind your back stuff. Which I mean, it's kind of a whatever. I'm a kid from a large family. I was like, I don't need friends out here. I got friends at home. But ultimately, what I came to look at, the way I came to look at the world was, if I saw 5 teenagers or more in a group together, it's probably trouble. It's like, and that little spidey sense has only gotten worse as I've gotten to be an adult.
The older we get, the more we're like, oh, well, I see what they were. I see what they. We used to get so mad about it. Now we're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, four teenagers could be a double date.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and 4 males could be guys hanging out, going to a game of some sort. could be a double date.
I was going to say 326. It could be a double date too.
I mean, these days it's a little different, but still, it's like, okay, give you a pass. 5 or more, and I was like, okay, your kid's out here looking for trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be entirely just me being an old fuddy duddy. He's like, you kids better get home. It's too late for you. Where are your parents? Or it could just be that I'm engaging my pattern recognition as a human adult and noticing that when large numbers of kids get together, trouble ensues.
Okay, so is this hypocritical on our age now? Because when I referenced it back in the 80s, when we would do this, we weren't looking for trouble. We were looking for fun.
True.
But what we considered fun was very, very different than what they're considered. Because, like, tearing stuff up is apparently fun now. And we did not want to do that. We wanted to crank up the music on the radio or in somebody's new cassette player, the boombox, and if somebody scandalously was able to get a 12-pack of beer or the really what we now know is like super wimping stuff like Boone's Hill or Bartles and James, which is what we could get our hands on back then. That's what we did. It is different, but I don't want to be the get off my lawn guy.
I think that it is definitely a generational thing, though, because we were the first feral children of America.
That's true.
Right?
Gen X, man.
Gen X was the feral children. We would roam in large packs, right?
Yeah.
Like that happened. But the thing is, we would keep it contained because eventually you did have to go home.
Well, and you were still afraid of your parents.
And you were afraid of your parents. And you were afraid of other people's parents.
Oh,
because other people's parents would make sure your parents knew how messed up you were, whatever messed up thing you were doing. So you would keep it contained, even if you were hanging out in the parking lot of the Schnooks or whatever, to drink the borrowed beers or listen to somebody's mixtape.
Right.
That was just everybody kind of hanging out near that car, and everybody just went around you. Grandma was not afraid of that group.
No.
These days, it's a little different.
Larry says he was there when this whole thing started.
Okay, Larry, give me your firsthand account here. First of all, what time was this?
That happened they shut it down about 10:05 or so.
Okay.
So Lindbergh Cruise is a organized event that happens 3 times a year in the spring, I think late April, Saturday night, and then the next one's October 12th or something like that. So this is an organized event, and it's very heavily attended. And you just people are lined up on Lindbergh from the Home Depot in South County till about Ronnie's, and they sit in lawn chairs, and cars go by, and here's what happened. And it happens all the time every year. Kids, they were teenagers, they were throwing water out in the street to get people to do a burnout, right? And it was fun. And there were probably, the kids who were doing it were about 5 or 6. And actually this happens all the time. Well, somebody got stupid, and the cops said stop doing that, and words were exchanged. And then, they came out and chased, they actually did put one guy in one of the police vehicles. So that's really what happened. I wouldn't call it. And there's teens all over the place, and of course older people. I'm 70. I'm sitting there watching cars go by, living in my past. So that's really what happened. And then when the cops, somebody mouthed off and so on and so forth, and they started chasing them, a bunch of kids ran, just sort of.
Yeah, that's the video I saw.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they ran through the Schnooks and so on and so forth. So it's really a lot of fun, and it's not really that wild. And I would call it more of just the cop, a bunch of people around, the cops chase this one guy, and then, of course, everybody ran.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Hey, Larry,
anyway.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate that first-hand account there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys, too. Thank you very much.
And okay, so that's good to know. That's why I said I can't confirm it was something happened on that.
That doesn't sound like a takeover.
I've noticed that with something, because you said you got this from like it
was one of those citizen journalists, which
and that's something to be aware of when I've gone through some of these too, because I wanted to get some people on. I'm like, wow, that's great footage. It'd be great to interview them, and then it turns out, well, you're not really accurately representing.
Right, because sometimes they're getting it secondhand too, which is why I'm like, I know something happened. I wasn't quite sure what. And you talk about the generational thing as well. Let me tell you, I had one of those cold, in your face, slap in the face reminders that I'm in a different era of life again. I hate malls.
Oh yeah,
but I was in the Frontenac Mall at one point in the last 2 weeks, and I was also found myself in West County Mall, two places I don't enjoy going, any mall whatsoever. Now, when you went to the mall during the summer, back when we were teenagers, what were you really looking for?
Girls.
And did you or did you not really like it in the summer months when girls dressed for the summer months?
Absolutely.
Okay, girls still dress for the summer months, even more so now. Let's put it that way. There's a lot more skin being shown. And I was in the mall, and then I looked down, I'm like, I cannot believe her parents would let her. Why won't she? And then I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
I'm old.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I saw one look, and these are very, very pretty girls, and I immediately was like, I cannot believe our parents let her walk out. Oh, I'm old.
It's like these kids need to cover up.
Yes.
There's a famous quote from Dazed and Confused that comes to mind.
But I was like genuinely like, I can't believe. I mean,
kind of horrified, right?
I don't wear pearls, but I would have clutched them.
Oh, absolutely.
At the time, I'm just saying, and I'm like, okay, it's official.
Yeah. That's really the thing.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that might show that you're old is that you want to go to a meet the candidates event. But it's important, and I think you need to do that if you're going to be a responsible voting adult in America. And we have a St. Louis County Executive Candidates Forum that's going to be on Wednesday, July 29th at 7 p.m. at the St. Louis County Republican Central Committee headquarters. That's at 794 Graveway Bluffs Boulevard. Is it in Suite M, I think, is the thing there. Dennis Hancock.
There will be signs everywhere.
Yeah, you're going to be able to follow signs. Dennis Hancock, Angela Mosley, Brian Williams, and Jake Zimmerman have all been invited. It's going to be hosted by our own Chris Arps. For more information, you can call 314-398-6667.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Dad lets me drive slow on a driveway, but not on Monday. Definitely not on Monday.
On News Talk STL.
Let's take a break.
Good idea.
Hey, Tom, what are you doing on that Amendment 4?
You know, we fought for our freedom and rights. I'm not giving them away without a fight.
4 takes them?
That's exactly what 4 does. For over 100 years, Missouri voters have used our constitutional power to act when the politicians refused. I'll be darned if I'm voting to pass on less freedom and power to my kids.
And doesn't 4 also kill majority rule?
Yup. Creates minority rule, or just 5% of the most liberal statewide voters in one Missouri congressional district that block any citizen-led reform, making it nearly impossible to pass common-sense conservative citizen ballot measures.
That's crazy town stuff.
And we've needed our citizen ballot measure power to pass some big conservative stuff, like outlawing tax hikes without voter approval, lobbyist reforms, and term limits for career politicians.
No way I'm letting a tiny fraction of liberals derail our conservative power. I'm no on Amendment 4.
Hard no on 4.
Petty 4 buttons are inch per care governance.
Your trees do a lot for you. Shade, beauty, curb appeal, but are they safe? Clever Tree Service has been protecting St. Louis homes and landscapes for over 20 years. Pruning, trimming, removal, stump grinding, even 24/7 emergency storm service. Fully insured, eco-friendly, and always focused on you. From Kirkwood to Chesterfield, Webster Groves to Wildwood, your neighbors trust Clever Tree Service. Visit clevertreeservice.com for your free quote today.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, body cams are on the way for ICE officers.
Okay.
That's going to happen. Gas prices creeping up again. A little
yeah.
bit, yep. And Trump administration grows by 1, sort of. All right. It's good news, though. All right, 6:50 right now. Let's go ahead and do a news dump. Get started.
News Dump brought to you by the Nutrition Stop.
The Morning News Dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, immigration and customs enforcement officers will start wearing body cameras when conducting traffic stops. Border Czar Tom Homan confirmed that over the weekend. The exact timetable for this, though, is unclear, Gabe. The cameras have been purchased. Now, there was a holdup with that government shutdown.
Yeah.
Part of the funding that was blocked was for those cameras.
Interestingly enough.
Yeah, the training process is now in the early stages. So essentially, they're doing the train the trainer. They're training the people who are going to go out and teach the ICE officers how to use these things. The changes, of course, follow 2 recent ICE-involved fatal shootings, one in Maine, one in Texas. Neither officer in those cases was using a camera. And in one of those cases, I believe it's the Maine case, there was a lot of questions about that ICE officer. There's some background stuff on that guy that may be an issue.
Yeah. I mean, and of course that things happen. Those things happen in law enforcement. But this is probably going to go the same way as the body cams for regular police that we saw, where the left was saying we need to have eyes on every single thing they do, and what we found out is that the people that these law enforcement officers deal with on a regular basis are the worst ever. They're all freaking saints for having the amount of patience that they give to these and deference that they give to these very bad citizens. And non-citizens apparently, and we're going to find out that most of the people who have dangerous encounters with these guys deserved it, and probably more.
The body cameras exonerate cops most of the time.
Yeah,
not all the time, most of the time.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this goes down because, remember with Renee Good?
Oh, yeah.
A officer shot a mom in a car, and if not for him having his own phone out showing him getting hit by the vehicle, a lot of people would have thought that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, heads up, going to be hot today and tomorrow. I mean, it is July. But we are under a heat advisory through 7 p.m. on Tuesday, so the heat index is going to be around 102 today and tomorrow. Again, pretty normal for this part in July. That's just the way it goes. Forecast as of right now, though, indicates a cold front moving through late Tuesday, really early evening, really what we're talking about. That's going to give us a break from the heat for probably the rest of the week, and then it'll climb back into the 90s by the weekend is what they're looking at right now.
Just in time for that game you're going to be
that's
announcing.
right, exactly. Should be pretty nice, actually. All right, CENTCOM saying a 9th round of strikes on Iran happened on Sunday. Now, before boarding Marine One, President Trump telling reporters that the strikes were, in his words, in honor of the troops who were killed.
They've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some manufacturing ability, not much. We control the strait. They don't control anything. So we'll see what happens, but we hit them very hard again tonight.
Okay, 3 service members were killed in Jordan, another killed in Iraq after a controlled detonation of an Iranian drone. Iran's supreme leader warning of what they're calling unforgettable lessons of the United States if attacks continue. He also says the president's signature on the Memorandum of Understanding is worthless, giving those repeated attacks. Now, we know that Iran's not going to hold to whatever they agree to, but the bottom line is that we've been told for months it's over, they're desperate, they're begging us for a deal. That obviously is not true.
Yeah, and look, the Strait of Hormuz is basically the lifeblood of the oil transportation industry in about half of the planet, and keeping it open is of utmost importance. I think it should be pretty easy to regard any Iranian action in the Strait as essentially piracy, and we should basically do what we did with the pirates back in the Barbary pirates days and just take them out a little bit. Hulls Tripoli.
Lots of missiles flying right now.
Lots of missiles.
All right, let's see here. The national average for a gallon of gas back up to $4 a gallon.
Yeah, don't like that.
Nope. As of this morning, the average price in Missouri, this is according to AAA, average price in Missouri is $3.65, and the average in Illinois is $4.15. Around the metro area, what I found, prices ranging from $3.42 in Washington County, Missouri, to $4.26 in Monroe County.
Yeah,
Illinois.
Kind of spans the range, doesn't it?
I missed when it was $2.60 back in February.
No kidding. Yep. All right. House Republicans moving forward with a budget reconciliation package that includes funding for the war in Iran, also includes some other national defense measures and parts of the Save America Act. Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn on Sunday Morning Futures on Fox saying she's confident that Republicans are going to prevent another government shutdown.
We're going to keep the doors open and allow our military to actually enter into these contracting projects that are going to help to keep our nation safe.
Did you know it's government shutdown season again?
Is it?
It is, yeah.
Isn't it always government shutdown season?
Yeah. Congressman Bob Onder is going to be with us in about 45 minutes, by the way. The budget reconciliation bill contains part of the Save America Act, and that includes grants encouraging states to adopt voter identification requirements. Democrats are opposed to that. We're actually going to talk to Fred Lucas, who covers the White House for the Daily Signal, at 8:05 about that. Let's see here. Okay, the data center debate gets amped up just a bit here as well. New York Governor Kathy Hochul temporarily blocking the construction of any new data centers in that state for up to a year, making New York the first state to do so. The governor defends the move as a temporary measure. She was on CBS's Face the Nation.
I'm asking everybody to say, take a breath. This is not the end of the world. We'll get through this. And New York always leads in a smart way. And that's what I'm really proud of what we're doing here.
Okay, first of all, New York doesn't always lead in the smart way. I'm just going to point that out, regardless of what you think of this decision. And then obviously critics say the move is going to slow down both job growth and artificial intelligence development. I think the latter is absolutely true. Then there's a debate over to whether that's a good or bad thing. Data centers obviously facing backlash all over the country, including right here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of the costs that come with doing any large mass project like a data center. I'm not as read up on the actual numbers of those things as I'd like to be at this point, because there are a lot of claims that fly out about the amount of energy, the amount of water that it takes to cool things, and the technology that's going in. So I'm going to have to do a little more research on what's up with that data centers so that I can better understand the issues. Because at some point it's gonna hit almost every community. It's like, hey, do we want a data center here? It's like, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't.
The truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Probably.
That's going to be my guess. All right. There is a new member of the Trump administration.
Okay,
not really. But Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife, Usha, announced the birth of their fourth child this weekend.
All right.
Alec Neil Vance was born yesterday morning at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. The last time a sitting vice president's child was born, that child was Schuyler Colfax III in 1870.
Oh, wow.
That was the last time a VP had a baby while in office. Cardinals ended up losing 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks. They lost in 10 innings last night. They start a series with the Angels this evening, 9:10 first pitch.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
The Laborers International Union of North America, Local 110, was formed in 1933 and from the beginning has strived for progress and the well-being of others. The laborers of Local 110 are hardworking men and women who take pride in their great work. They are the fastest-growing union of construction workers and one of the most effective unions representing plants and quarries. Laborers Local 110 has the best medical benefits, pension, education, and heavy construction training in the market. Visit lu110.com and start your future today.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Gas prices, which declined in recent weeks, are on their way back up, averaging $4 a gallon nationally, according to AAA. The increase comes as fighting between the U.S. and Iran escalates. Still, Secretary of State Rubio is holding out hope for fruitful talks with the Islamic Republic.
Even within their own system, there's a growing split. I think maybe some of your outlets have documented this. Between those that understand that their economy is in shambles and they need to do something, or they're going to be in a lot of trouble very soon. Economically, domestically, and others who are very militant in their view of life and in their view of the world and continue to launch missiles. So they'll have to work out that split internally. We're going to continue to respond.
The U.S. stepped up attacks on Iran after several American service members in Jordan were killed by Iranian strikes. More U.S. warplanes now being dispatched to the Mideast. That revolving door at number 10 Downing Street continues to spin as Prime Minister Keir Starmer declares,
"My work is done."
Correspondent Charles de Ledesma in London.
Andy Burnham, the former mayor of Greater Manchester and new leader of the Labour Party, is taking the final steps to succeed Keir Starmer and become Britain's 7th Prime Minister in a decade. Starmer will travel the mile from Downing Street to Buckingham Palace to formally tell King Charles III that he's resigning. Soon after, the 56-year-old Burnham will go to the palace and Charles will ask him to form a government. This is when he will officially become Prime Minister, a moment known as kissing hands. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
And it is now official, Andy Burnham is Britain's new Prime Minister. Spain is partying, celebrating its team's victory over Argentina in the World Cup final. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures 178 points higher, NASDAQ futures up 281. More on these stories, townhall.com.
If you're watching the market, you may know that gold has pulled back more than 20% from its recent highs. Silver has fallen even further. History shows that this could be the perfect time to diversify your retirement portfolio to include precious metals like gold and silver. In crisis after crisis over the last 50 years, gold fell first, then surged to new highs as the crisis unfolded. That's why Advantage Gold wants to send you a free gold investment guide valued at $49, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's best-selling book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, when you call 800-900-8000. In today's market, government debt has exploded to nearly $40 trillion, and central banks around the world continue buying gold at record levels. The smart money sees opportunity. If you're considering diversifying a retirement account with precious metals, tax and penalty-free, now is the best time to call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A heat advisory in effect today and tomorrow. Partly cloudy today with a high of 93 as the heat index tops out anywhere from 100 to 108 depending on your location. Slight chance of a pop-up storm this afternoon. A warm night ahead with a low of only 79. A few weakening storms around early Tuesday morning. And then finally, a cold front moves through tomorrow, but that's after we hit a high of 94 with a heat index around 102. Much more comfortable Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
There's an old way to buy a mattress, and there's a new way. The old way? Lay on a mattress for about 6 minutes, look at your spouse, shrug, and somehow decide where you're going to spend the next 10 years of your life. Seems like a lot of confidence for 6 minutes. At Snooze Mattress Company, we use advanced pressure mapping technology to help you understand what your body actually needs before you make that decision. It's personalized, it's simple, and it beats crossing your fingers. Come see us during our 4th of July event sale. When you sleep better, everything gets better.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Gabe Phifer.
Extra sugar honey iced tea, baby.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Can I say something random?
Sure.
Entirely random. You ever notice in like TV shows and movies where there's somebody who's supposed to have a cup of something, and how completely unnaturally they move with that because it's empty, and you can tell that it's empty because of the way they move with it. Like you see me dancing with this full cup of coffee. I'm moving slow because I'm gonna spill this thing, and hot coffee's gonna. Yeah, and the people on the show are just like, oh yeah, and I got my coffee, and they're just talking with their hands with what's supposed to be a cup full of hot coffee in their hands, and then they take a quick drink. It's great. No, stop it. It's a major bugaboo of mine.
I will point out for the people that watch us during the Fifi dance, I've got this massive board of electronics that control if you can hear us or not. So there is a reason why I do what I do on my end.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, man.
So anyway, this is one of my bugaboos.
7:06. Gabe Phifer in. That probably with the old intro that just aired. You probably had somebody go, wait, yep.
That's right. I'm here.
Susie's taking a couple days off, and so Gabe came back in, and old stomping grounds here.
Talking about random
We got to get you back in
nerd
more
stuff
often.
again.
We got to work something out.
Yeah, I think we can figure something out.
We can figure this out. So we haven't seen the last of Gabe here.
Have your people talk to my people.
Your agent's tough to deal with.
Yeah.
She drives a hard bargain.
Yeah, she sure does.
Well, and since we get a lot of comments saying, well, Gabe, you're back, stay here. We do have an extra seat. We've got an extra microphone. There's really no excuses.
Oh, no. Well, my agent, though, she takes 100%. So it's a tough one.
Oh, man. All right. So, you're going to be allowed to drive faster legally on some Missouri highways.
Really?
Yeah, we just don't know really when. Okay, so this is one of the laws that got passed in this last legislative session, not in the immediate St. Louis metro proper, okay?
Okay.
So we're not talking in the city. We're not talking like in the immediate burbs. But basically, if you're looking at least a 4-lane divided highway.
Okay, that's stretched between the metro areas,
that's right.
basically.
That's outside of like any sort of urban area. So we're talking St. Louis, Kansas City, Springfield, Columbia, anything like that. So think I-44.
Mm-hmm.
Think eventually I-70 once they get, the expansion done on there, and then I doubt we'll see it on 63, or 61. I doubt that, but you're looking at some areas where the speed limit is going to be authorized to go up to 75 miles an hour. Now, is there anybody not driving 75 miles an hour already?
I was going to say, it's like they're just kind of catching up to the realities of things, I think.
So what we don't know is when that's going to happen. There have been, some slowdowns, and I think, the governor signed the law into place, which is fine. And then at that point, you're looking at when, and we don't know.
Right.
And the funny part is like when you decide how much over the speed limit you're going to go.
It's usually somewhere around 10.
It's a sliding scale. If the speed limit is 55, then, you set your cruiser, you just go whatever. Now, if you on 70 or 44 in some areas, if you decide that you're just going to go with the flow of traffic, even in the area on like 270 here in the metro area, if you're on the loop, or not the Delmar loop, but the 270 loop. I mean, I have found myself just trying to keep up with traffic, look down, and I'm going 80.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, that's not good.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to, I don't want to, because my luck, I'll be the one that they're like, we're going to make an example out of somebody, and it'll be my luck.
Now, I gotta confess on myself a little bit. This morning, I was running a tad late. just to, for my own comfort. I like to get here at least a few minutes. I don't want to go directly from the door to the chair here as the music's going. But it looked like that was going to be the case this morning. So I was driving a tad faster than I usually would.
There used to be a host who was famous for that, by the way.
That's true. But I was driving a tad faster than I usually would on 270. And at some point, as I was looking around, I realized, no, I'm just keeping up with the people on the left side.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Because normally I was, let's say, I'd go maybe 10 miles an hour slower on my regular days, and I would usually stay in the right, towards the right area. Like I'm actually going over the speed limit, but and as fast as I was going, I was just keeping pace with a good 2/3 of the cars on the road.
Oh yeah. So is this bumping it up to 75, which means people are going to end up going close to 85? Is this a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, I honestly think if we really treated roads kind of like the Autobahn does, right? It's like, well, there isn't a speed limit. The speed limit is built into your ability to control the car on the road that you're driving. I mean, and ultimately, I think that's kind of it. It's conditionally based.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, do I feel comfortable going 80 miles an hour with this traffic pattern on this road that gets a little windy, or is it, on this straightaway that's pretty open now? It's very little traffic,
like 44,
like 44 can be. Then I think people currently, for the most part, I think people go the speed that they're more comfortable going. And going up to 75 is probably going to make most people drive about the limit. You know what I mean? Because most people are driving at around that amount anyway.
Yeah, but if it goes from 70 to 75.
Do you think people are going to push it to 85?
I think people will push it. So the thing is with the Autobahn is that they don't have that many accidents on the Autobahn.
Yeah.
They really don't. But when they do, it's bad.
They're catastrophic.
It's
That's true.
really, really bad.
That's true.
They just don't have them that often.
Yeah.
And I think there's a stretch somewhere like in Idaho where there's like an American Autobahn somewhere. That they have something like that. I don't know where that is, but it's like some long, deserted, out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing where it's like, whatever.
Right.
Every highway is not upon if you got a police scanner.
Well, and I guess that's the other impact that we're talking about from this law is it's going to probably, I would think, reduce the number of cars that are cited for speeding. I would think, just because
reduce the number.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just because, like I said, pushing that number up to 75, there aren't. I don't think there are as many people who are comfortable driving so much faster than 75 that they're going to do that. So they're just going to probably drive around the same speed that they currently do, which is over the limit, but which would push it under the limit if this law passed. So that was my expectation. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Maltese on YouTube says, I'm going to push it.
Oh, boy.
It's not fast enough. And I will point out, not trying to encourage any reckless behavior, but in a lot of jurisdictions, anything 5 miles or less over is considered a warning.
Right.
Not a actual citation. So, I mean, are we not effectively then making the speed limit 79.5?
Well, but they can write you a ticket.
They can.
For 1 mile an hour over.
Mm-hmm.
They actually can do. They don't.
But they don't.
Unless you do something really to make them mad.
So I was pulled over. Well, I was a passenger. It wasn't me. But the person that I was pulled over with, they were going about 3.5 over the speed limit. They got pulled over, of course. But the brochure that they gave us was breaking down what the crimes are for different speeds. And it says up to 5 miles and over, warning. And so this is your warning. Don't do it again, kind of thing. And
I'm
then a few months later, somewhere else, they didn't know about that. They said, okay, we're going to give you a warning here too.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that for 3.5 miles an hour over the limit, they weren't pulling you over for speeding. They were looking for something else.
They were.
There was something suspicious about the car you were in.
You were being profiled.
Yes, I, Jerome, am a victim of white America. No, we were throwing stuff out the window, empty bottles. But point being though is that I know that there is a certain speed in which it is not really worth the time and effort to pull somebody over, especially on highways.
Yeah, they have guidance.
But now that the speed limit will be actually raised into that zone where it can actually get dangerous if you're speeding, do you think that might not entice, but maybe be a better idea to start pulling people over that are already going speed?
That's an interesting question. So basically, would they tighten up their criteria because of the inherent danger that would come with those speeds?
I'm looking at this article from Channel 4, and they're saying at this point that they don't even expect the new sign, because it's not legal until the signs are up.
Right.
But they don't even expect that till at least September.
Okay.
So it's going to be a while. And here's another interesting thing. The University of Minnesota, I believe it was. Yeah, University of Minnesota. They had somebody do a study that compared like gas mileage and time savings if you drove the posted speed limit.
Oh, yeah.
Versus what people typically drive.
Right.
And so it wasn't about 55 or 60 or 65. It was what is the actual speed limit versus what is the average speed that people are driving. I thought this was kind of interesting. 43% of all trips in America speed.
Right.
If you look at everywhere, in town or 43%. So they found that speeding costs Americans, well, they said 50,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide pollution every single day. I don't know about that, but whatever. But they do say that if everybody suddenly drove the speed limit, it would save about 6 million gallons of gas a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
In the United States.
I don't believe that.
Yeah,
I have a monitor on my vehicle that shows me how much my miles per gallon is.
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever
Yeah, I
I'm
do
going
too,
70, I get better mileage per gallon than I do when I'm going like 60.
Depends on how your car's engineered. But remember, it's not about how the speed is. They're comparing it based on the speed limit versus going over. So they're comparing it if you're in a 70 zone, but you're going 75, or 65 zone and you're going 70. They're comparing it that way.
Well, in parts of Indiana and Illinois, at least when I was driving through those areas commonly, 60 was the speed limit of the highway, and I was going 70 and getting better mileage per gallon. So I'm not entirely sure. I'd like to see more on that.
And here's what also they found. And you tell me whether you believe this. All of that speeding, they say if you went back to the speed limit, the amount of time it would cost you on the road, 54 seconds.
Seconds.
Yeah, they say
Interesting.
They say that you're not really saving time by speeding, and I actually do believe that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it depends on how much of your trip is spent on the highway versus on the roads that actually have like stop signs and stoplights,
red
and things
lights,
like that.
and whatnot.
Yeah, so the thing is, my trip here is mostly highway, and so I had my my Google Map on, and it was telling me my ETA. Speeding actually did save me 3 minutes, I think.
Oh.
I watched it.
They're not going to catch you now. How fast were you going?
Well, there were stretches where it was 85 on 270. So yeah, I was pushing it a little. I was moving a little bit. Look, there are states: Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Utah, Wyoming, and North Dakota all have stretches of highways that are in excess of 80 miles an hour. And Texas has the highest posted speed limit of 85 miles an hour in the United States currently on their State Highway 130. So, I mean, there are precedents for this in other places. I'm just curious what the stats are, and I guess we'll find out what we find out. Now, but another thing we're going to find out is what's on the ballot, and you need to do that. You need as we get closer to the election, Tuesday, August 4th, by the way. Keep it on News Talk STL for all the details on the candidates and the amendments, and you can also go to newstalkstl.com and click on sample ballot and get a sample ballot for your county.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Everybody wants me to dance. Could you imagine FDR dancing?
On News Talk STL. Columbo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we keep you informed and up to speed on all the important news and headlines you need to know.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
The radical left let crime and drugs pour into our nation, and they let biological men into girls' sports. But here in Missouri, if there's a problem, we fix it. That's why Ann Wagner's fixing the mess the radical left made and delivering for us. Wagner voted to ban biological men from competing in girls' sports, and she voted to fund the police and provide more resources for Border Patrol agents, keeping our families, communities, and children safe. And Ann Wagner didn't stop there. In Congress, Wagner passed the largest working-class tax cut in American history, kept big government out of our business, protected our way of life, and ensured our communities remain safe. That's why Ann Wagner's endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau and Missouri Fraternal Order of Police. Vote Ann Wagner for Congress on August 4th.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. The touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh, no, no, no.
I'm Congressman Bob Onder, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, another thematic bump music.
I have a weird obsession with being thematic. With
Yeah, that's right. With Gabe back in today, it's
Yeah.
weird. It sounds weird to say Gabe filling in for Susie, Susie will be back later this week. And Gabe, I mean, obviously you're the rocket scientist. You're not working on rockets now, and I'm not going to get it. I don't know what you can tell me, what you can't. But you're still making stuff that goes boom.
Yes. I still
makes other things go boom.
Yes. I mean, well, rockets deliberately make themselves go boom.
Yes.
And then the things I work on make other things go boom.
That's probably about all.
Deliberately. Yes. Yeah. I think that's about. I think what I'm really.
So yeah. So we're doing that. Guess what today is?
Well, what is it?
Okay, for you particular. I was going to say you nerdy types, but you in particular. We'll get to that here in just a minute here. But yeah, well, I mean, welcome back. It's always fun because we're always scheming to try to get you back on. And by the way, the scheming includes Susie, who's trying to get you back in here as well.
That's true too.
And so that was. I wish we'd thought last night at our station party to celebrate 5 years on the air that we'd thought to get. Everybody who'd been, or most everybody who'd been on the morning show at some point together, because we've had a fairly low number of people.
Oh,
over
yeah.
the course of 5 going into 6 years.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We could have had a little morning show reunion.
That's right. That's done that. So, but you're here, still doing well, still in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
I still keep arguing that we need to have the Gabe Phifer show on the weekends.
Yes, that would be a commitment. But I mean, it could be fun. I mean, is the show ready for Nerd Talk?
Nerd Talk STL.
Nerd Talk STL. It would be a subdomain.
That is so funny.
Hey, well, again, we can talk to my agent.
No, there you go.
She's ready to take all the benefits of anything I can do here.
Oh man! All right, but today is Moon Day.
Moon Day.
Moon Day. This is the day in 68 or 69?
69.
69. On this day in 1969, Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you believe the government story.
Allegedly.
Because it was a studio in some movie set somewhere.
Earth is flat.
Okay, Mike. Here's a bit of knowledge you might have. We went to the moon. They didn't realize how bright the moon is, so it reflected the sunlight. All of the footage was overexposed, unusable. They had to recreate it when they got back to Earth.
Oh, there you go. So that combines the theory. It's like we went, but those aren't the real pictures.
And the Earth isn't flat. The moon is flat. Okay?
Oh, okay. All right. So it's a wheel of Gorgonzola. That's what we're talking about.
Here's what I think at some point is we need to do like a segment where I do a news story and we just immediately let Jerome's conspiracy theory brain come up with an alternate version of it.
I am 100% on board with that.
That would be an awesome segment.
I keep trying to tell him the lottery was invented to catch time travelers. He doesn't believe me.
You know what? Maybe that's why half of them go bankrupt. It's deliberate. The government comes through and is like, all right, we see you.
So we're talking Back to the Future was a documentary.
Transformers was a documentary,
when
too.
Biff, well, yeah. I'm the big yellow one. The
Bumblebee?
Yeah, I met him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's kind of a jerk, isn't he?
He's huge. No, and I say that because years ago I was in L.A. and we were given this tour of the prop warehouse at the one of the big movie studios, and the Bumblebee prop,
the full size,
size thing was there.
Yeah,
and it's big.
Yeah, they built a big one.
I saw it. I was there.
That's pretty awesome.
And then I also, because I sent you the picture. No, I don't know. Do we know each other back then? We knew each other, but we weren't doing the show yet.
Yeah.
Because I was still working at the Show Me Institute. So
yeah,
gosh,
but
this has been 6-7 years.
But I
ago.
eventually saw that picture though.
Yeah, because I got onto one of the Star Trek. What's the little room you get in that's supposed to beam you up somewhere?
Yeah, Star Trek. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
was in a transporter room. Yeah,
I was in and I had my picture taken in that because that was in the prop room too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw they had like a wardrobe thing where they just had all these clothes from different movies over the years. And these are all props from the movies.
I love that stuff.
And one of them, they let us like flip through them like we're at I don't know, TJ Maxx or whatever. And then there were these pink jackets, and I just kind of swiped it over, And you know what it said on the back of it?
What was that?
Pink ladies.
Oh,
they were the jackets from Greece.
Oh, wow.
Like the jackets from Greece.
That's awesome.
Man.
Oh, I love that stuff. But yeah, so not included among the wardrobes was the fake suits that were worn by the guys on the lot, the back lot, where the moon landing pictures were, because that actually happened. We actually did go to the moon. They're other space agencies confirmed we went to the moon. Like, Russia, who had every reason to not believe us, congratulated us on getting there first. I don't know if you guys are aware that.
Yeah,
the Russians were watching us at the time. Yeah. They actually they tried to beat us there. They tried to land an object on the moon before us. So they sent a probe that was it never made it, but it was close enough to get
send like a dog up in space. Or
well, that was Sputnik was the first. Like they had the first animal, I think, in orbit or something like that. Like they were always trying to get the first over us. So they were trying to get the first object on the moon, because they knew we were trying to be the first people on the moon. So they sent something ahead of us. It never really landed, but they did get pictures with the flybys that they did of our landing zone with their satellite. So the Russians confirmed that we were there. Stop being an idiot.
Are you really suggesting that we should trust Soviet propaganda?
See, this administration's joining with Putin again.
Yeah, really. Okay, so Lynn, let's talk about, because a lot of times we're looking at that and we separate out the moon landing from what's happening right now.
Yes.
With Elon Musk.
Yes.
And because essentially it sounds like we've just admitted that NASA is not going to keep up with the private sector at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And so
clearly.
NASA is basically the contractor for Elon Musk, not the other way around. I
Yes.
mean, I don't know what the contracts say. Everybody's like, Elon Musk is NASA's contractor. I think it sounds like it's the other way around. And so what did that day in history in 69, so, 50 whatever years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was, what's the importance then? Because we tend to silo it, because there was a long time we weren't doing any space exploration. But what did that do in relation to today?
Well, I mean, it proved it can happen, first of all. I mean, it proved that, the technology, it was available, that we had the capability, that we had the computational ability to send an object from this stellar body to another one nearby and actually land something safely on it. It's so safe that a human can ride in it. And, it sounds simple now because we've done it so many times, but it had never happened before. Like the reason it being first was such a big deal was because it sounded like something somebody came up with in Hollywood. That's one of the reasons why the conspiracy was there. It's like, it sounds fake. It's like, how? What do you mean you can put a person on a rocket the size of a skyscraper filled with however many thousands of gallons of rocket fuel, and send them first of all to circle the globe, and then to circle the moon, and then land on? That's all craziness. It's all crazy talk that there's not even possible. It had only been 69 or 70 years since we learned how to fly. So we went from like, oh yeah, trains only. There's no way to get around except for trains.
Amazing technology in
the 1900, right?
Oh, even the 1800s.
Yeah. So yeah, in 1900, everybody was on trains. We were just figuring out the automobile, and then we figured out airplanes. 70 years later, people who were still alive when they drove in their first car were watching people fly around the globe, and then and get to the moon. Like, it seemed fake, but they proved they could do it. Now, one of the things about technology is if you do not continue to do technology, it will disappear. And it's one of the things I think we've forgotten about too, is that because of the hiatus basically that we took from actually accomplishing a moonshot, we were concentrated almost exclusively on putting things into orbit around the planet. We lost some of the expertise. Like, basically the people who got us to the moon retired and went away. Their documents got archived, and we lost the ability to get to the moon. We kind of lost it. We knew it was possible, and we've seen it done. So then basically Elon Musk said, let's redo this. And he had to almost start from scratch. And here we are now talking about not only getting to the moon, but building a colony on Mars in the next 20 years. I think we can do it so long as we are continuously
in 20 years.
In 20 years,
Man, that seems awful aggressive.
I think it's possible. But that's the thing. You need somebody aggressive like Elon Musk, who's he really wants it to happen. And I think so long as we keep that push, we can do it.
A likely alibi from a lobbyist from big space.
Well, if nothing else, then Elon Musk could try to populate another planet.
Yeah, I mean, we need somewhere for all his kids, don't we? Mars and the moon sound like great options.
I should not have tried to take a drink right now.
Now, with midterm elections right around the corner, is it put up or shut up time for the Republicans? We've got the update coming from Congressman Bob Onder coming up here at 7:35.
Kind of place to raise your kids.
We can't have madmen shooting rockets all over the place.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A heat advisory in effect today and tomorrow. Partly cloudy today with a high of 93 as the heat index tops out anywhere from 100 to 108, depending on your location. Slight chance of a pop-up storm this afternoon. A warm night ahead with a low of only 79. A few weakening storms around early Tuesday morning. And then finally, a cold front moves through tomorrow, but that's after we hit a high of 94 with the heat index around 102. Much more comfortable Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Dreaming about a vacation but not sure where to start? Should you book that all-inclusive resort or a cruise? Which destination? What cruise line? And how do you know you're getting the best value? That's where Magic Expeditions comes in. We're your St. Louis local travel experts, helping you choose the vacation that fits. Whether a relaxing, adults-only escape, family-friendly resort, or unforgettable cruise adventure, skip the stress, the guessing, and endless online searching. Visit magicexpeditions.com. That's magicexpeditions.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
California has a $394 billion state budget. Yes, the governor and others know they don't have the money, so they'll be looking for ways to cover the deficit. Hey, you over there, do you have anything we can tax that we aren't already taxing? Or maybe we'll just raise existing taxes. San Francisco slowly crawling out of a $640 million deficit, but still found $1 million to fund workers to find human feces on San Fran streets, the poop patrol. Sacramento residents can expect city workers to be inspecting their trash, and the same for other California cities. Governor Newsom says we need to make sure trash is properly separated, recyclable material from non-recyclable. So workers with high visibility vests will now be opening up trash cans, taking photos if necessary to prove non-compliance. Sacramento has 130,000 households, 130,000. How much is this going to cost? Who cares? We do know who will pay. The taxpayers. This sounds like common sense if you're leftist socialist.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Spring weather has everyone sneezing, even inside their home or building. Instead of saying Gesundheit, call Wellington Environmental to perform air tests to determine if mold levels are too high. Gesundheit is the same as saying bless you after someone sneezes, the German word meaning wishing you good health. Wellington Environmental can perform air testing that is simple, fast, and can identify issues keeping you from having good health. Wellington does the same for hospitals and nursing homes for indoor concerns. Give them a call. It's simple. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. Tell Cindy, I need air sampling. They've seen it all. They can help you. Next time you hear Gesundheit, think Wellington. Wellington Environmental. Be well with Wellington.
You work hard,
follow the rules and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck, taxed. Your property, taxed. Everything you buy, taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5, paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke.
News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, y'all.
This is Kirk Hilsinger, chairman of the St. Louis City Republican Party. Connect with us at stl-gop.com. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the war continues. Somebody's got to pay for it. By the way, that's us. You know, how are we going to do it, and where do we go from here? We're now joined by Congressman Bob Onder. And Bob, I want to get to not just your reaction to the president's address last week, but to the update on what's happening with the war now that hostilities have escalated. But there is a bill, I want to start this, very near and dear to your heart, the Chloe Cole Act, that you've been working on since, I would say, I think it's fair to say since day one you got into Congress, probably since before you got sworn in, that's now taken a major step forward to being possibly passed into law. You know that the Democrats are going to throw a fit if and when this gets to the full House. But tell me where things stand with the Chloe Cole Act.
Yeah, good morning. Great to be back. Yeah, you're right. I have been working on this issue of protecting kids against chemical and surgical mutilation in the name of transgender ideology almost since I was sworn in last January. And then over the summer of last year, I was honored when the Trump Justice Department asked me to carry their major bill to protect kids and allow them to recover damages against those who mutilate them. So we made a major bit of progress last week when on Wednesday we had a markup and then passed the Chloe Cole Act out of the House Judiciary Committee. And, you know, it was really almost surreal. I expected a lot tougher pushback from Democrats than there was. A lot seemed to walk the whole hearing and then walk the final vote. Only 8 Democrat votes against. So, you know, I don't know if they're gradually learning that the American people are not with them on this issue, but I look forward to getting this bill to the full House and then on to the Senate.
Okay, Bob, I do want to move on to some other things, but along those lines, let me just follow up real quick. At some point, and you have the conversations, and you're there, and we're not. I mean, at some point, are there some Democrats who just know that this ideology is as hideous as we know it is, but there's political pressure to stay in the tribe? I mean, there's got to be a few Democrats who know how evil this is.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there are a lot more Democrats who know how evil it is than perhaps there are votes. But really, I think as Democrats realize that not only in their heart do they know this is wrong, but they realize the public is 90-10 against radical transgender ideology. I think the votes will start to follow. I think at some point, not the radical left, not the Democrats, socialists, the Mandamis, or what have you, but rather the more traditional Democrats. I think they're going to come along with us, because the polls already show that. It's only a matter of time before their politicians go the same way.
Morning, Bob. Gabe Phifer here. Good to talk with you.
Hey, Gabe.
I know Mike's got some questions about the war and things like that, but before we get to that, I wanted to get your reaction on the president's address and the accusations that he made regarding election integrity the other night.
Yeah, on Thursday night, of course, President Trump spoke to the nation. He released a trove of intelligence documents that showed efforts of the Chinese government to at least prepare to, if whether or not they actually pulled the trigger to influence the 2020 elections. That the Chinese had acquired 220 million U.S. voter files. And Trump also mentioned that the Homeland Security Department had found nearly 280,000 non-citizens registered to vote in California and other states. So this is really disturbing. Now, in the mainstream media, a lot have said, well, just because the Chinese and these blue states were doing this doesn't mean people actually voted illegally. Maybe not, but getting the data, getting people registered, that's the first step. So I think this all the more illustrates the need to push for more, not fewer, voter integrity measures, certainly including voter ID, including checking citizenship before being allowed to vote in federal elections. And that's why I'm very happy to hear that the Save America Act will be included in this upcoming reconciliation bill.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to ask about. We're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder. Is the maybe not the entire Save America Act, but there are parts of it, I guess, that are now in the current version of the Reconciliation Act. And, of course, there's kind of a hodgepodge, it seems, and hopefully you can clear this up, because part of this, there's obviously some funding for the war, but there's also at some point we're in shutdown season again, and I don't know if the Democrats thought that the shutdown was going to work out the way they wanted it to last time. So it seems from the outside looking in that there might be a little bit of a mess and a hodgepodge with the reconciliation bill. What's the status of it, and what does it look like from the perspective in the Capitol?
Sure. Yeah. Last week, the House budget, the way the reconciliation process works is first, the House Budget Committee has to put forward a framework, kind of, top line numbers of what will be going on in the reconciliation bill. The House Budget Committee advanced a bill calling for a $95 billion package, of which $73 billion would be defense and intelligence funding, another $12 billion for farm assistance, and then $10 billion toward encouraging or helping states tighten voting rules, including voter ID and checking citizenship. And I think that's the bottom line. Now, the shutdown is a separate issue, and I believe the plan right now will be to pass a continuing resolution to get us through the election and into December. But yeah, I think it's important as we're looking at election integrity measures in the reconciliation bill that we not just have some fund to incentivize states to restore election integrity, because the blue states are just going to thumb their nose at the administration and keep doing what they're doing and pass on the money. I think it's important that it be mandatory that we have voter ID and citizenship voting at very least in this reconciliation bill. I know President Trump would like more. He would like to end mail-in voting, but I don't believe that's going to be in the reconciliation bill.
All right, Bob. Also, we've got escalated hostilities with Iran. The war is not going away. I mean, we've been hearing for months it's over, and they're begging for a deal, and we're going to write the whole thing. Clearly, this is not happening. Iran is still fighting back. I mean, I have no problem believing they've been decimated. But did the administration and the War Department underestimate the resolve or the abilities with Iran, because this is really expensive? We're going to have to pay for this one way or the other. Where do we go from here? And I still want to point out, I know that they're saying that we started and stopped in this amount of time, then we started and stopped. And that seems like that's playing fast and loose and loopholes with the constitutional requirement that Congress oversee this. And I've asked you about this before, but I'll just point out again, there's still no congressional authorization for this.
Yeah. The president is acting in his capacity as as commander-in-chief, as previous presidents have done, doing what he believes is going to keep America safe. But no, there has been a major escalation in the war over the weekend. I think if history tells us one thing, world leaders do tend to estimate how difficult and how long wars are going to go on. The memorandum of understanding, in my view, was almost ridiculously generous to the Iranians, and yet they still violated the ceasefire. I think this war has had the unintended consequence of teaching the Iranians that they can exert major influence on the world by shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, something they really had not done before this conflict. So I think we will see more escalation on both sides before this is over, I'm afraid to say.
All right. And is there at any point discussion over, hey, we need to start doing more oversight and payments? We have to have a say in this from the House or from Congress?
Well, I think the main say the Congress will be on the funding, and that's what we're doing in the reconciliation bill.
What's your over-under on in the next 10 years us actually getting back to the normal budgeting system in Congress rather than this continuing resolutions garbage?
Yeah, well, this we did pass all 12 budget bills this last election fiscal cycle, the 2026 fiscal year. It was pretty messy at times, but ultimately we got all 12 budget bills done. I hope to do it. I hope after getting through this election we can do it in a more orderly way. That's for sure.
All right, hope springs eternal, right? All right, Congressman Bob Onder, thanks again. We'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, the Democrats need to help us on that. Thanks
Absolutely.
a lot, guys.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, the Trump administration grew by 1 over the weekend, sort of. Well,
Sort of.
I mean, it's sort of. It's in a cute way.
Not on the payroll.
We'll explain in News Dump at 7:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Message to Iran.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of them.
On News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
When decisions matter most, experience isn't optional. Tim Whitney has spent nearly 24 years serving Jefferson County through the Sheriff's Office. As a former SWAT commander, he has led under pressure, made critical decisions, and understood what it means to be prepared when leadership matters most. Today, as Undersheriff and Chief Financial Officer, Tim helps lead hundreds of employees, manages one of the county's largest budgets, and protects taxpayers with conservative accountability. Tim Whitney brings the kind of real-world executive experience Jefferson County needs in its next county executive.
I'm Tim Whitney. Jefferson County isn't just where I've served. It's where my wife and I are raising our family and where we've chosen to build our life. I'm running for county executive because I believe our county's future matters. Together we can support responsible growth, strengthen public safety, protect taxpayers, and preserve the character that makes Jefferson County home. I'd be honored to earn your vote.
Paid for by Friends of Tim Whitney, Heather Missy Treasurer.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, body cams on the way for ICE officers. Yep, that's a good thing. And the Trump administration, as Gabe was just saying, grows by 1. Sort of, kind of.
Sort of.
All right, it is 7:50 right now. Let's do a quick news dump, shall we?
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by STL Fenceworks.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
All right, immigration and customs enforcement officers will start wearing body cameras when conducting traffic stops. Specifically, we're talking about the traffic stops. Border Czar Tom Homan confirmed that over the weekend with some media interviews. The exact timetable for this, though, is unclear. Now, here's what's going on. The cameras have been purchased, and the training process is in the early stages, okay? But the purchases took a little while because of the last government shutdown that held up funding for parts of DHS, and that's part of the delay. The change follows two recent ICE officer-involved fatal shootings, one in Maine, one in Texas. Neither officer in those cases was using a camera, and there are some big questions about the officer in question in Maine. So we'll see how that shakes out. But as with all of these, I would just encourage people, let's wait till we get the facts before we judge what actually happened.
Absolutely. And now the body cams, having body cams is going to change the game in a good way, I think, for ICE officers. I think, in the same way that we saw it impact regular policing, having those cameras is going to 90+% of the time show you exactly what kind of garbage these, the law enforcement officers have to deal with. They're exceeding, patience that they have for everybody, and the fact that by the end of these videos, you usually want them to hit them again. I don't know if you've ever seen these. It's just like, wow, that officer has been really, really patient, because I would have. And then your mind goes a certain way.
That's why
I'm not a cop. Right, exactly. Now, I think one possible revenue stream is if you had monetized social media accounts for like DHS, you could just publish the videos from these things, and you could probably pay for the cams easy.
Oh man! All right. CENTCOM announcing a 9th round of strikes against Iran on Sunday before boarding Marine One. President Trump telling reporters that the strikes were, using his words, in honor of the troops who were recently killed.
They've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some manufacturing ability, not much. We control the strait. They don't control anything. So we'll see what happens, but we hit them very hard again tonight.
All right, we're being told now 3 service members were killed in Jordan and another one killed in Iraq after what's called a controlled detonation of an Iranian drone. Iran's supreme leader, of course, talking tough and warning that the U.S. is going to suffer more, consequences. He also said the president's signature on the memorandum of understanding is worthless given those repeated attacks. Basically, the memorandum of understanding was worthless from the get-go, and I agree with Congressman Bob Onder that it was basically all in Iran's favor. It was, the memorandum of understanding was ridiculous.
There was I
couldn't believe that we came up with that.
There was a lot of deference given to the Iranians. Now, if enforcement had been a positive thing, or if we could actually make them stick to a plan of any sort, it would have been nice to see an end to the conflict. But it kind of is what it is. Now, ultimately, though, I hope that we focus instead on the strait. And, in that case, we might actually be able to get around the constitutional issues if it's simply like anti-piracy actions by the Navy. It's like, well, they're firing on they're aggressively approaching a commercial shipping vessel. The U.S. Navy stepped in and blew the boat out of the water. I don't think Congress has to authorize those kind of actions. So I'd be okay with that if basically we were just policing the strait.
But I don't think there's any question that there's loopholes and technicalities that are being used because Congress is supposed to have this oversight. And so what they're saying is, no, this isn't one war against Iran. This is like 8 mini wars.
8 mini wars.
We're 8-0.
For you gamers out there, it's microtransactions. Yeah. It's just we're just a bunch of microtransactions going on.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you don't want to either.
Okay. All right. A major university is promoting transgender ideology to children.
Of course they are.
Of course they are. Michael Harrington's got this story.
The medical school at the University of Minnesota is selling dolls for what it calls, quote, transgender and gender diverse children. The dolls are aimed at youngsters ages 4 to 10 and are intended for what the university calls therapeutic play. Apparently, the toys can be modified with different outfits and hairstyles to mix male and female characteristics. Critics are decrying the dolls as a grooming tool and question the funding for the project. Michael Harrington reporting.
It's clearly a grooming tool.
Absolutely.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
If you notice back in the day, and I'm sure if you had a sister or you had for us you had little girls, their dolls were genderless except for the overall body proportions because any child can look at the world and tell the difference between male and female. Actually, they've done studies on this. Infants can tell the difference between males and females just by the way they look and respond to them. So that's all you need. What are we talking about mixing and matching parts and clothes and stuff like that?
You have to teach children to accept this ideology.
Exactly.
And this is your tax dollars at work here. All right, there's a new member of the Trump administration.
Okay.
Not really.
Going on payroll?
Not on payroll.
Oh,
Nope.
okay. All right.
Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife Usha announced the birth of their fourth child this weekend.
Yay.
Alec Neil Vance was born Sunday morning at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Now, the last time that a sitting vice president's child was born, while they were the president, sitting vice president, was when Schuyler Colfax III was born in 1870.
Somebody named Schuyler was born in 1870?
Schuyler, S-C-H-U-Y-L-E-R, Schuyler Colfax III.
Wow.
Was born in 1870.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was the last time that a child was born to the vice president. And I think that Alec Neil Vance, is only the third time that a sitting vice president has had a child born.
I think we need to be having more children. Just as a nation, we need to be having more children. I mean, the anti-natalists are out here telling us that the world is terrible. Don't have kids. No, the world is great. Have children, please.
By the way, of course, the baby was born, so that would date back to conception around November.
Oh. Interesting.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda for Missouri, Representative Trisha Burns never answers the call. Trisha Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Trisha Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Trisha Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Trisha Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Trisha Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job. Cut the Bull PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
The Vic Borselli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cindifer.
Hi, Cindifer.
Hey, how you doing? She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim, yo, Vic, baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is, but I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Borselli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
101.9 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Britain's new prime minister says politicians need to be better. Andy Burnham delivering his first speech as Britain's leader, promising a circuit breaker for a system that he says has taken a series of wrong turns since the 80s. Earlier at Buckingham Palace, King Charles met with outgoing PM Keir Starmer.
In a statement, the palace said the king was, quote, graciously pleased to accept Starmer's resignation. Starmer was accompanied by his wife, Victoria. Keir Starmer served 2 years as the sixth British prime minister since Brexit, after such notable figures as Margaret Thatcher, Tony Blair, Boris Johnson, and David Cameron, who stepped down immediately following the Brexit vote. Andy Burnham has officially become the seventh prime minister in a decade after accepting assent from King Charles at Buckingham Palace.
Correspondent Bernie Bennett. The United States and Iran continue trading fire, their conflict escalating following the deaths of several American service members in Jordan.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke to reporters at Joint Base Andrews Sunday.
We're going to continue to respond if the door opens to diplomacy. If the guys that want to do something productive for Iran win and take control of that system or take control of the negotiations, that'll be a very positive development. That's not where we are tonight, unfortunately.
The latest attacks again show how the U.S. and Iran have inched closer to an all-out war, as last month's interim deal, meant to permanently end the fighting, has crumbled. Shipping traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has also largely stalled. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Ukraine has launched more than 400 drones toward Moscow, according to that city's mayor. The attack comes after Russia targeted Kiev and other Ukrainian cities with ballistic missiles. Moscow's mayor claims that most of the drones were shot down, but some of them got through, causing injuries and damage. Ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures up 99 points, NASDAQ futures 261 points higher. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options, debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A heat advisory in effect today and tomorrow. Partly cloudy today with a high of 93 as the heat index tops out anywhere from 100 to 108 depending on your location. Slight chance of a pop-up storm this afternoon. A warm night ahead with a low of only 79. A few weakening storms around early Tuesday morning. And then finally, a cold front moves through tomorrow, but that's after we hit a high of 94 with a heat index around 102. Much more comfortable Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Have you heard those ads claiming Amendment 4 stops conservative amendments?
That's not true. It actually stops a couple big cities from pushing radical ideas into our Constitution. Remember 2024? Only 8 out of 114 counties voted to allow transgender surgeries on children.
That's terrifying. We can't let just a handful of counties rule the whole state.
Exactly. Amendment 4 requires broad statewide support and keeps foreign money out of our elections. Vote yes on 4 this August 4th.
Paid for by Freedom Principle MO, Missouri First PAC. Kate Sickles, Treasurer.
News Talk STL is celebrating our 5th birthday. And we're giving away a limited edition News Talk STL America 250 t-shirts. It's exclusive, it's collectible, and it could be yours. Just head to NewsTalkSTL.com to register.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, News Talk.
Been listening since day one. Happy birthday to my talk station.
5 years, happy birthday.
News Talk STL.
News Talk STL. Happy birthday to us, and good luck to you.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I got a couple of days off.
And I hope you enjoy your weekend, Vic. You deserve it.
You know what? I appreciate that. I really do. Who's going to fill in the gaps? Let's start with Nate Lucas and the great Ken Williams Monday. I'll see you Wednesday.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the president and other Republicans talking a lot about the Save America Act. Matter of fact, we just talked with Congressman Bob Onder about that a few minutes ago. Democrats resolved to block it. Can Republicans get around that?
That is the million-dollar question.
Okay, so there might be a tactic regarding some incentives for states. We're now joined by our friend Fred Lucas from the Daily Signal. And just so you know, that Fred is obviously getting to and from the seats of power to covering things, but there's been, I guess, a public transportation mishap. So there is a chance Fred's going to have to run and jump on a train here, but we'll appreciate any time we get with you, Fred. Appreciate you being here.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a bit of a train situation, but yeah.
Yep.
I'll work around it.
We'll do the best we can with it. I just appreciate you being here. Okay, so we've got basically now we're going to connect this. We've got the Real ID situation, which was a big controversy and big debate over the course of many years. So the federal government is looking at $50 million in Real ID grants to the states. Okay, so two-part question here, Fred. What is it that is designed to incentivize, and then what does that have to do with the Save America Act and election integrity?
So Julie Fedorchak, she's the at-large congresswoman from North Dakota, and she's teamed with Laura Lee, who's the chair of the subcommittee on elections in the House, and they're doing a bill that would $50 million in grants for states for Real ID. That would effectively put the SAVE Act into effect by requiring some sort of citizenship verification on those Real ID cards, and also putting in a requirement for photo ID. However, part of this might end up being that it's an incentivized. So could be states would get federal money if they effectively adopt the SAVE Act. So in that sense, we might see a lot of states that already have something akin to the SAVE Act in place getting these grants where others just wouldn't take the federal money. It might just be another red state, blue state divide. Of course, then again, the thinking is that maybe some of these blue states, maybe definitely some of these purple states might decide that they want the federal dollars.
Yeah, and Fred, we're talking about these grants. Are these grants that are already available, or is this something that would have to go through reconciliation or something that would have to be legislated, or the money's available right now, the incentives are there?
No, this would be a brand new grant pool. The reason they want to put it in the basically a spending bill is so it can go through reconciliation. Right now you can't get the SAVE Act through the Senate otherwise. So it would have to be through a spending bill, in which, if it's a spending bill, it cannot be filibustered, basically. It can just pass by a simple majority.
Now, given the status of some of the U.S. senators, I mean, is that a sure thing? I mean, is this a matter of there's enough Republicans on board at the moment, or do you have to worry about a Susan Collins or a Lisa Murkowski or somebody like that?
We saw Lisa Murkowski just flat out say she's against it altogether over the weekend. I mean, it's somewhat questionable whether that's if you turn it into an incentive bill, if you turn it into something voluntarily, and maybe Republicans would view that as a start, the Republican leadership. I mean, I can't imagine Trump being happy about that, or even Speaker Johnson being happy about that. But they might view it as a start and something they could chalk up as a quasi victory. They might be able to pull maybe a few straying senators on board who would be able to go back, and Susan Collins, for instance, might be able to go back to her state where if that's a tough sell and say she voted for a compromise legislation where it's an incentive voluntarily.
We're visiting with Fred. Yeah, we're visiting with Fred Lucas from the Daily Signal. And Fred, I mean, obviously the president's address, last week, and I think to some people it was a massive revelation with a lot of receipts, and to a lot of other people it was kind of like, well, this really wasn't anything new. There were just new ramped up accusations. So you make of that what you want. But the point was looking at the upcoming midterm elections. Is there any world in where any of these change anything about how elections are run for the upcoming midterms?
This would on some level this would have an impact. It's questionable. I mean, it would probably be litigated if by some chance the SAVE Act did pass. It would probably be litigated as to whether it could go into effect for this election cycle. We did see on Friday an appeals court actually upheld an action by the post office that would make some changes and some restrictions on mail-in ballots.
Mm-hmm.
So that will take effect going into the this midterm year, apparently.
All right. The article is called $50 million in Real ID Grants Could Provide Path for Passing the SAVE Act. You can find that at the Daily Signal. You can also find it at the Heartlander News, who partners with them. It was written by Fred Lucas, who's on the phone with us right now. Okay, so when we talk about the mechanics, you've laid out, I think, really well the mechanics of how this could work. Where are we in that process of the horse trading right now in Congress? And it sounds like the Senate's really where this needs to have some sort of breakthrough, because the Republicans and Leader Thune are basically saying, we just can't make any moves on this. That's why you got to take a different tactic. Is there any indication of movement on this to where at least parts of the Save America Act could be adopted?
I mean, it doesn't look good now in terms of like the Save America Act. What was passed in the House 3 times, I believe, as passed through the House, will not be adopted into law in the Senate. It doesn't look like it looks like, I mean, there may be a route either through some kind of grant program, voluntary grant program, or some other means. It would probably have to be some sort of compromise at this point, because there's not enough Republicans in the Senate that would go for this, much less enough to overcome a Democratic filibuster.
Okay, so Fred, would this be affecting states that have not fully adopted Real ID or not requiring it? Because some states have already gone that route. They wouldn't really be affected by this, would they?
That is actually a good question. A lot of states have adopted Real ID, and this would be a grant program to help them. But if they've already, if they haven't fully adopted it, this grant program would implement that. If they already have it, I think the grant program would go towards trying to tie this with voting and trying to tie it with some sort of citizenship verification.
Yeah, the Real ID first proposal on that was what, 12 years ago, 13. And you remember it was a lot of conservatives who were opposed to it then. So it's interesting how kind of the news cycle has come back around to where Republicans are the ones who say, hey, we need to lean into Real ID, when it was a lot of conservatives back in the day that were really opposing this. It's just kind of interesting how the whole issue of Real ID has evolved to where now this is just a support mechanism over the Voting Integrity Act.
Yeah, I mean, it even goes back to Real ID itself, goes back, I think, to like post 9/11 that they were implementing all those security issues. And yeah, I mean, there was, I think, a debate within the among Republicans about it. You had more maybe libertarian types that were concerned about Real ID, whereas you had sort of the national security hawks that were thinking that was an answer to prevent, more problems with security in airports and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Once again, the article is called $50 million in Real ID Grants Could Provide Path for Passing the Save America Act. And once again, you can find that at the Daily Signal, written by Fred Lucas, who is trying to catch a train right now here any minute as well. So, Fred, thanks so much for hanging out with us here for a little bit. I know you've got to get to that, and hopefully it shows up and gets you where you need to get in the next little bit as well. But, Fred, this has been real helpful, Fred. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
All right. It is 8:14 right now. So this is what's interesting, because the reality is that the Republicans just simply do not have the votes to pass the Save America Act. They just don't. And they don't have them within their own ranks. And so the reconciliation thing is the backdoor way to do that. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get this done. And I don't know that the president's address late last week had as much of an impact as what I think a lot of people in the conservative and in the Republican and in the MAGA circles thought that it was a bombshell sort of speech. And I don't know that it landed that way with a lot of people. With some, it certainly did. So I think this debate goes right up to the deadline to make changes for the midterms, but I don't know that the running of the midterms is going to change.
Well, and the insane thing about this is that somewhere around 80% of Republicans and 75% of Democrats support having voter ID for the safety of our election. So this should not be as contentious as it is within the House.
You would think. All right. NewsTalkSTL.com, your one-stop shop for everything. We now do have some pictures that were up from our gathering, our station party last night. So you will see a lot of the faces that you hear on the air here every day. We celebrated 5 years on the air because the 5-year mark was yesterday. This is the first day. Well, I guess technically yesterday would be the first day of 6 years, year 6 on the air for News Talk STL. And for that, we just say thank you.
You want to give me more information. You want to take the place of what I trust.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
On News Talk STL.
Stop right now. When you count on Connor, you're getting the timeless American values that have guided our company from day one. Hard work, impeccable service, and honesty. Connor Roofing, you aren't just getting a roof, you're getting safeguarded by a neighbor who cares. When you count on Connor, you're receiving protection for your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
Visit ConnorRoofing.com.
Hey, this is Chris Arps. If you enjoy a good cigar like I do, check out Dorset Cigar at 11396 Dorset Road in Maryland Heights. They'll help you find the perfect smoke, and they have a fantastic premium selection. Mention promo code NewsTalkSTL for 7% off. Visit DorsetCigar.com.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Noticed some coverage over the weekend, not just here in St. Louis, but kind of all over Missouri. I mean, I follow media from all over Missouri, all over Illinois, just to kind of keep an eye on what's going on there. And there were a series of rallies against Amendments 4 and 5. Now, we're obviously seeing a crap ton of ads that are out there right now. You know, we're seeing Gabe a little bit earlier was talking about, just bringing up, streaming TV and, putting music and stuff on. And you get the ads that pop up, like, for instance, on YouTube and places like that. And you can target those ads geographically. You know, when I like, for instance, when I go onto YouTube, basically, I put on some background music. That's really what I use it for on my TV. But like Gabe, I'm not paying the premium, so I get some ads in there, and I get a lot of targeted local political ads. I'm seeing a lot of Wesley Bell's ads. I'm seeing a lot of the pro and anti-Amendment 4 and pro and anti-Amendment 5 ads that are out there. And there's two layers to this that I'm seeing. One is that a lot of the ads against Amendment 4 and Amendment 5, and listen, do your own research, decide what you think is right, but do it based on what's true. That's where I'm coming from. This is what irritates me, particularly on the Amendment 4 aspect of this is that what you're hearing is just not true from the opponents of it. Now, if they acknowledge what is true and still make a case for we think this is bad, okay, fine, then let's have that debate. Let's have that argument. But that's not really what's happening right now.
That is what I think is so frustrating, not just being targeted by ads, obviously, but the misrepresentation and the disingenuousness of a lot of what I see coming, sometimes from both sides, but mostly right now from the anti-crowd, that you have to sit there, you can't skip through, and realizing that a lot of people that are being exposed to these ads are not going to take the time to say, wait a sec, is that what it really says? And going and looking up the real wording of what it, and it's at some point, you have to sit there. If I'm not informed enough on a subject, should I be voting on the subject?
So we'll get into that in a second, but I did notice the pretty robust coverage of these kind of coordinated rallies, which, listen, we do them on our side too, whether it's a pro-life thing or a, pro-Second Amendment thing or whatever the cause is at the time. I don't have an issue with them having the rallies. That's their thing. Just like we have ours. I'm not a big rally protest guy. It's just not my thing. But I'm covering it, and I noticed, there have been far more pro-Amendment 4 and pro-Amendment 5 events, town hall meetings, opportunity to question lawmakers, the governor, getting involved with teletown halls, all of this. So this has been happening all over the state, literally going back over a year. And almost every single time there's been no media coverage of it. So there was one series over this past weekend and robust reporting on these giant crowds. I mean, some of them were pretty good size, but not giant, not huge, anything like that. And that gets a lot of coverage because the framing is, look at where the people are on this. Now, we're going to find out on Election Day where the people are on this. I do think at this point, Amendment 5 is going to be an uphill lift. I think that the confusion that has been injected over this has got a lot of people kind of paralysis by analysis, and there's a lot of competing claims on this. I'm personally more worried about Amendment 4 right now. I think, to me, that's the crucial one right now. Don't get me wrong, I'm voting for Amendment 5. I am, but I'm looking at Amendment 4, and a lot of what we're seeing, a lot of the arguments and the claims are simply not true, and that's what ticks me off, Jerome. Is I'm fine debating you and you having a different opinion. For instance, if somebody says, this system is worked and I think it's working and I want to keep it. Okay, that's intellectually honest. I don't think it is working. I think it is broken. But if you like how that works, okay, that's a defensible position.
Scooter, our Democratic friend, says, it is true that Proposition 4 raises the number of votes required to pass citizen petitions, a number that amendments proposed by the State House does not have to meet.
Yes. But partly yes and partly no. It does not increase the number of votes that's required to pass a constitutional amendment. That's one of the things I think people are misunderstanding about it. The legislature can put something on the ballot and it's just a simple majority. That's true. And that may be a flaw in it, but that's true. And the idea is the legislature is already vetted by the people and elected and voted. That's what their argument. You can accept it, you can reject it. Now, the idea that it requires more votes to change the state constitution, that's actually not correct. Because you still can pass a constitutional amendment with 50%. Well, I guess technically it would cost 7 more votes. Okay. Because right now you can change the state constitution with 50% plus 1 vote. Under Amendment 4, you would have to get a majority, so 50% plus 1 statewide, but you would also have to have a majority in each of the 8 congressional districts. So in theory, to do that, you would have 50% plus 8 in order to do that. That's the change. Now, here's the other thing that is getting, I think, misrepresented, is the argument that this removes the people's ability to do a referendum or do a statewide vote to enact a change or to check the legislature. That's on its face inaccurate because Amendment 4 only deals with the state constitution. The referendum process to change state laws or add a state law or delete a state law, that is unchanged. 50% plus 1 statewide Special interest on both sides are still able to try to buy a law. We're just saying you can't buy a constitutional amendment. That's getting overlooked, and that's getting conflated, and I believe on purpose. So when you hear, for instance, somebody saying, well, that's just taking away the power of the people, it's not. But we're saying that there should be a higher standard for amending the state constitution because it's the permanent document, and then the state laws. Like, for instance, when we legalized pot a few years ago. Now, I'm a pro legalization guy, even though I don't partake. Mm-hmm. I just think it was silly that it was illegal, and we didn't learn anything from the drug war from all these years. But that should not be in our state constitution. All of the regulations on that should not be in the state constitution. Literally, our system is set up right now because if you remember when medical marijuana first became legal and then later recreational marijuana, and I've mentioned this story before, there was one multimillionaire guy who's a doctor and a lawyer who lives down in the Southwest Missouri, literally funded his own campaign, signature gathering and campaign to pass his own constitutional amendment for the state that literally wrote his name in as the marijuana czar for the state of Missouri, to where the governor or the legislature, nobody would be allowed to be able to oversee this except him. He literally tried to buy his name into the state constitution.
I want to know if he was partaking when he came up with that.
I have no idea, but there were multiple marijuana legalization amendments, and then what happens is if they all pass, then the one that gets the most votes is the one that actually wins. And so his didn't end up getting the most votes on this, but he literally, because the system allows that to happen. You look at the gambling legalization, the sports betting, for instance. And I remember the gambling legalization back in the day. That is not something that the state constitution should be in the weeds on. Mm-hmm. That's something the state law does. And so when I hear these ads that say Amendment 4 is going to take away people's right to put referendums on the ballot, that's just simply not true. And then when you look at the amount of votes that it's taken, you can still pass it with a simple majority, which honestly, I think the bar should have been higher with Amendment 4. But this is what they came up with. It just means that the entire state, there has to be enough consensus to change the document on a permanent basis that everywhere in the state says, yes, it's good for us. So that the farm communities and the suburban communities and the manufacturing communities and the urban communities, eventually there's going to be tech communities, whatever it is around the state, tourist areas, that they all have to say, okay, there's enough people like, okay, we all agree on that. So simple majority, but I guess if you say it raises the number of votes needed, I guess technically from 50% plus 1 to 50% plus 8 would be required. So literally the bare minimum it requires is 7 more votes than what's required right now.
Yeah, I was going to make this point, but Filthy Goat on Rumble, good morning.
Filthy Goat.
Filthy Goat beat me to it. Okay. He said, this is very simple. It keeps Missouri from turning into Illinois, where nobody other than Chicago gets any representation. And I've experienced that firsthand. You have a number of suburbs. Pretty much everybody, if you look at the voting maps, pretty much everybody outside of Chicago will all be in agreement on one thing. Mm-hmm. Chicago's just got that amount of population that they outnumber all of them, and suddenly you're having Chicago control an entire state.
Right. Yeah. Now with the Amendment 5, it's a lot more complicated. It's I think it's a much heavier lift right now on Amendment 5. But I am really concerned about Amendment 4 in particular, and that's where a lot of my energy is going. That doesn't change my support and my agreement with Amendment 5. Could Amendment 5 have been better? Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But this is what we have in front of us right now. But Amendment 4, I think, is crucial. Obviously, Amendment 3 in November is going to be massive as well. And by the way, for those of you who are pro-life, Amendment 4 is crucial. Mm-hmm. I mean, Amendment 4 is crucial. And if you don't understand why, look at the amendment that was bought by the left wing and last one. And I say that, but let me say something. If we vote ignorantly and pass something, we get what we deserve. It's up to us to know, and it's up to us to tell our circles of influence. It's up to us to take the word out to others. And so we put the lawmakers, we put the movers and shakers, like on this show, and then you take that information, and I hope that you use it to have a positive impact. But the media coverage of the rallies, I would not have any heartburn over at all if the same energy had been put into all of the other events that took a different perspective on it, and we're just not seeing that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have to put that much more effort into being us that support it, have to be that much more active and proactive in getting the correct, accurate, factual messaging out there than the people that don't have our best interests as a nation in mind. Now, that being said, one of the things I do get asked quite a bit is, I was like, hey, you guys were talking about this on the radio. It was either an event or like a town hall meeting. We had a guest coming on promoting something, and they just forgot what it was. Well, I want to let all of you know, we have NewsTalkSTL.com, where you can keep up to date with all of our giveaways, with all the events that we're hosting, with just the news that's going on in your area in case you missed something. So check us out on NewsTalkSTL.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A heat advisory in effect today and tomorrow. Partly cloudy today with a high of 93 as the heat index tops out anywhere from 100 to 108, depending on your location. Slight chance of a pop-up storm this afternoon. A warm night ahead with a low of only 79. A few weakening storms around early Tuesday morning. And then finally, a cold front moves through tomorrow, but that's after we hit a high of 94 with a heat index around 102. Much more comfortable Wednesday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
Fox News commentary with Jimmy Fallon next.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Jimmy Fallon explains to the host of The Five why Mick Jagger is correct about keeping politics out of his performances.
Spot on, bravo to Mick Jagger, because this is the one thing nobody ever talks about. When every entertainer became an activist, everything went downhill. Nothing is better since we lost common culture. Common culture, sports, music, comedy, places where we would go to put our political differences aside. What he understands that Bruce Springsteen doesn't is, one, he's immortal, he'll be relevant forever. Bruce Springsteen is kind of dabbling in late-stage activism now because it's the only way he can game the system to be relevant. Okay, Mick Jagger doesn't need that, number one, but more importantly, they've lasted. That band's been together since, I believe, they played the Lincoln inauguration in 1861. They've been around a while, okay, but they understand a rock concert, of all places, is a party. People are going to detach from the rigors and torments of everyday life.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
There's something magical about walking into your backyard and knowing your family is completely safe and secure. Hi, I'm Sean Long, owner of STL Fence Works. That's the feeling my team and I have been creating for metro area families for more than 50 years. Whether you're adding your first fence or finally creating the outdoor sanctuary you've always wanted, we offer premium vinyl and stunning ornamental options, all designed around your family's specific needs and lifestyle. While other companies struggle with supply delays and rising costs, we've always proudly used all American-made materials, which means better pricing and faster installation for you. Our experienced craftsmen exemplify our motto, your satisfaction is our passion. From Warrenton to Wildwood, your neighbors trust us because we live here too, and we care about your project as much as you do. Right now is the golden time to build with flexible financing options and a commitment to completing your fence on time and on budget. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Producer Joey V of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show here, reminding you, don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Listen to Joey V's Movies Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J. Steakhouse, Freddy's Market, AAA Motor Speedway, and Best Buy Flooring.
News, analysis, opinion.
Graham Plattner is still in the race.
I tell you who saw it coming. Every American who was paying attention knew that this guy's motherboard was fried.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I had a question come in on Amendment 5 on social media here just a few minutes ago, and it turns out there actually is another Amendment 5 tele-town hall tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that is happening, and we just posted this on our Facebook page, News Talk STL. I think I knew there was one coming this week. I'm not sure I knew it was today. So this is going to be tonight at 7 o'clock, afpmissouri.com. So our friends Americans for Prosperity, State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick, State Representative Bishop Davidson, it's a full friend of mine, former Kansas City Chiefs player Ron Freeman. Now you say, well, why is a former football player? Okay, so Ron is very active in the Republican Party on the Kansas City side. And if you're a football fan out there, you may have heard of his son, Josh, who was a quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he was a contender for the Heisman. He didn't win it when he was at Kansas State. But I remember Josh when he was a kid, and he's kind of washed out of football. Could have been a great one. But Ron's an old friend of mine. I've known him for 20-some years. So Ron's actually been on this show. So Ron is kind of a voice of conservatism in the western part of the state. But he's going to be joining that as well. So if you go to afpmissouri.com, you can get more information on that. I don't know that this is something you need to register for. I think you can just listen in at that website there, afpmissouri.com, and then I'm sure there's a way to send them questions and things like that. So that is happening because it's a proposal to change the state constitution, and you should know more about it. And if you're not sure or you've got questions, you say, I've heard this, but I'm not sure. Well, the people who literally Bishop Davidson helped write the thing, and Scott Fitzpatrick literally is in charge of keeping track of all the money in the state. Ask them the questions. Bring them the toughest questions you could possibly think of. Until Ron Freeman, I said hi. Okay. All right. World Cup is over.
Okay.
Yeah, it's done. See, and the funny thing is that response you had there, that's like 100% normal American response right there.
Well, in my point of view, at least, it doesn't matter as much of how America did in the World Cup. One, because I'm not a soccer fan, but two, it's the real win, the real victory I felt that we got was seeing the reaction that the rest of the world had being in America. Yeah. And that's something that we're not going to lose or win just because the sports team performed a certain way.
I have really enjoyed having the World Cup in the United States.
Yes.
I mean, and honestly, I went into it thinking, okay, great, fine. There's an international tournament. I don't really care that much. But then when you saw the dynamics of all of these people coming from all over the world with these preconceived notions of the United States, and then getting here and experiencing Buc-ee's and Wally's and, steakhouses and ranch dressing and all of the things and the theme was, this is not what we thought these people were. This is not what we thought America was. I have had so much fun watching that.
And now that it's over, check your fridges to make sure your ranch dressing is still there.
That's right.
Especially if you live near an Airbnb or hotel, just saying.
Yeah, and so with the World Cup, by the way, I'm sure you've heard Spain beat Argentina 1-0. So all of the reasons the rest of the world loves and was enthralled by that game are the same reasons that we Americans tend to not get into it as much. And again, I played soccer as a kid, and then I moved to a small town where they didn't have soccer. And so I liked playing soccer, but the rest of the world sees a full-length game, 90 minutes plus all that extra time they add on, in front of, I mean, they played at the Giants and the Jets football stadium, so 80, 90, whatever, 1,000 people, 100,000 people, whatever it was, to a 0-0 tie, and to the rest of the world, that is enthralling drama and exciting sports. And to Americans, we look at that and go, oh, I didn't miss anything. I mean, and then a guy from Argentina got ejected from the game because there was a collision with somebody else, and he got a yellow card. And I looked at it in slow motion. I don't think he meant to do it, so I don't know, like, just if the collision itself is enough. But he'd had a yellow card earlier in the tournament or something, and so he got ejected because 2 yellows equal a red. And then Argentina, was now suddenly had to play with 10 guys versus Spain's 11. And so the rest of the world looks at that, and we're like, well, just sub somebody else in. But that's not how you do it in soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they see the game in a very, very different way. Now, there are things we've learned about soccer, though.
Oh.
Matter of fact, during the World Cup, let's recap the things that we Americans have learned about soccer.
The coach of the U.S. men's team is Russell Crowe. Players spend 60% of the game rolling around and holding their knee. They are miraculously healed when the referee pays no attention. Red cards are negotiable. Norway's best player is Dolph Lundgren. Every referee looks like a James Bond villain. The main thing we learned from the World Cup is that we can go back to not caring about soccer.
I think we've already done that, I'll be really honest.
I'd just like to point out that in hockey, even if it does end 1-0, people are getting shoved and knocked over all the time.
Oh, yeah. There are teeth that are missing, and there are a lot of shots on goal. And I think that happy medium is that indoor soccer. That seems like a very American way to do it, and I enjoy the ambush games. And indoor soccer had a pretty good run there at some point. It's got its fan base now. And if you haven't been to one of those games, they really are fun. I mean, they're a lot of fun. That seems like it'd be a fun game to play, actually. But in the U.S., soccer, they say soccer has been growing in popularity, but they've been saying that since, the 70s. Like, at some point, they're like, oh, no, we're going to be on board. We're not. We like our sports. Soccer is probably in the top 5 of sports that we love. And at the moment, it's enjoying more of a pop culture thing than it normally does, but it'll settle back to normal.
Well, I mean, when you
I'm not anti-soccer. I just,
Well, I mean, you have to be careful with statistics like that, because when you have a lot more newcomers from cultures that already love soccer, they're going to bring that love with them. So,
Yes.
they're going to suddenly love lacrosse all of a sudden. Whereas I don't think that the average American person that's, not from a soccer-loving family to begin with
Right.
is really embracing and joining on to soccer. So,
Yeah, and and a lot of, like, for instance, in the 80s, a lot of schools were trying to transition from football to football.
Football.
Yes, football to soccer. 1, because liability insurance, and 2, it's a lot less expensive.
oh, all you need is a net and a ball.
Right.
And some short shorts.
Yeah, that's all
Some
you
acting,
need.
some acting lessons.
That's the other thing and we saw it in the game, because when we were at the radio station, we had a party to celebrate our 5 years on the air last night, and the bosses were kind enough to kind of reserve a restaurant that was closed otherwise for a private event. We had enjoyed the food and had a mixer, cocktail hour, and so the World Cup was on, the championship game was on, and so early on we're like, oh yeah, that's interesting. That's right, yeah, that guy's in the red and the whatever. And then once we all started hanging out and visiting, and then we had kind of lost track of it. And then at some point we looked up and went, oh, somebody scored. We just didn't really pay that much attention.
Oh, something happened.
Yeah, because I watched a couple World Cup games. It was more like just in the background. I wasn't like, I would get up and go make my food or sweep the carpet or something. I wasn't like,
You weren't like clutching on.
no,
the
I wasn't
armchair.
clutching on anything. Like if I'm watching a baseball game, I'm waiting until between innings to go do something. But it's not how we kind of look at it. And so I don't know that the U.S. is ever going to be on board and be a world powerhouse in soccer the way that USA Soccer really hopes. And a lot of people don't realize that one of the anchors of what there is of soccer culture in America can be tied to SLU, who won multiple NCAA soccer championships decades ago and has a massive, rich part of soccer history in the U.S. is right here in St. Louis.
Wow, I mean, America's got real sports to play though, so I
That's
don't know
right.
why it'd be worth our time to even try to get to that point.
Yeah.
But college sports, I think, just it feels different. It's more,
Yeah.
at least for me, it's more enjoyable to watch.
Yep, and of course the whole joke about the soccer players like rolling around like they're going to die. That part's so true, and that I don't think that. I don't think that goes really well with a lot of Americans. Although there was one of those collisions that was a pretty rough one. I'm like, okay, that was legit. There was one that was a pretty hard hit.
Yeah, I have seen some pretty gnarly collisions in highlight reels.
But
for
most
soccer.
of the time, somebody brushes up against them and like brushes their hair with them, and they go down like they were shot.
Yeah, these people a lot of the time it looks like you blow on them and suddenly they're like knocked down and rolled around the ground.
Right.
It's like,
That's like, come on, guys. This is why. And then the one guy I mentioned a week or two ago, one of the games, literally was like helped off the field because he was crying after getting a red card. I mean, he was crying.
Oh no.
He was crying. Baby.
There's no crying in that's baseball.
There is, there's no crying in baseball.
There is crying in football.
Yeah, in your soccer you can cry apparently.
Betting the Argentinians are, as Stella liked to call them yesterday, are crying right now. As mentioned before, we have a lot of ways for you to keep in touch with what we're talking about, including the free News Talk STL app, which I'm sure at least you better have it downloaded on your phone because it's free. It's a great way to keep in touch with what's going on. However, we know some of you have different schedules and you're not always going to be able to listen live. So we upload everything to a podcast after the show, the Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast. And if you subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, or X, you'll be notified when we go live so you can actually leave your comments.
Yeah, and listening, if you don't listen live, that you're going to get a yellow card for that.
Yeah, that's a yellow card, and we don't want to hear no crying about
Don't cry. Don't cry.
But your touch feels so sweet.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL.
Follow the rules and get absolutely slammed by taxes. Your paycheck taxed, your property taxed, everything you buy taxed. Missouri's tax system isn't broken, it's rigged against you. The lawyers and lobbyists working for big corporations and the super rich buried over 200 loopholes for themselves in our tax code. While they pay nothing on the services they use, working families are taxed over and over. It's no wonder they're lying about Amendment 5. Our corrupt tax system is rigged in their favor. They're getting a free ride on your back. Don't believe their lies. The truth is, Amendment 5 closes loopholes exploited by the super rich and slashes taxes paid by Missouri's working families, phasing out income taxes and cutting property taxes. They finally pay what they owe while you keep what you earn. Vote yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC.
Summer is here at Daniel's Farm and Greenhouses on Juggerman in St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pots of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farm and Greenhouses. Visit us today on Juggerman or online at danielsfarmandgreenhouses.com.
This is Brandon from Reach. On July 18th, we are hosting Unfiltered, a one-day conference for youth and young adults where we'll be covering topics like relationships, identity, purpose, faith, and culture. We will have breakout sessions, worship, and real community for young adults to encounter. If you know a student or a young adult who needs to be in the room, get them signed up. Spots are limited, so don't wait. Register now at unfilteredstl.com.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right. ICE has some changes coming, and ICE officers, I think, are all about it. They're going to get body cameras when they're doing traffic stops.
Yes.
Yep. Gas prices are creeping up again.
Oh, no.
Yeah. How far it goes, we don't know. And the Trump administration grows by one little tiny baby one. Okay, the Trump administration doesn't grow, but there's a new Vance
Oh.
Yeah. All right, 8:49 right now. Let's do one more news dump, shall we?
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Great American Divers.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The Morning News Dump.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers will start wearing body cameras when conducting traffic stops. Border czar Tom Homan confirmed that over the weekend.
This is going to get good.
Yeah, the exact timetable is still unclear. So here's what's going on. The cameras have now been purchased, and they're in the training process. They're in the early stages of that. Basically, the people who are going to be tasked with going out to train everybody how to use these are getting the training right now. Now, the funding for these cameras were held up in that last government shutdown. So that's been part of the delay. And of course, the change follows two recent ICE officer-involved fatal shootings, one in Maine, one in Texas. Neither officer in those cases was using a camera. And so we need to reserve judgment till we get all the facts. There are some questions about the officer in Maine. There are some background questions about them. Maybe he acted within the guidelines. Maybe he was truly self-defense. Maybe not. We'll find out on that one. The one in Texas seems to be pretty cut and dry, but we'll see what happens there. All right. Heads up. Going to be hot today and tomorrow. I mean, it's July. Ooh. It's late July. It's supposed to be hot, but we are under a heat advisory through 7 p.m. on Tuesday. So basically, when you're getting into the late hours of Tuesday afternoon, early Tuesday evening, we are expected to get a cold front move through and give us a break from that. But in the meantime, the heat index is going to be around 102 today and tomorrow. And then that cold front moves through late Tuesday, late afternoon, early evening sort of thing. Gives us a break from the heat for a few days. And then it's supposed to climb back into the 90s over the weekend. So basically, the temperatures are essentially where we're supposed to be, but we're going to get a little bit of a break this week.
Gotcha. So stay hydrated, everybody, during the heat fronts, and might be a good time to check on your sunscreen if you're one of those like me that burns like a lobster and then goes back to being pale.
You're very Nordic.
I was designed for 30-degree weather, not 80-degree.
All right. CENTCOM announcing a 9th round of strikes in Iran on Sunday. Now, before boarding Marine One, President Trump telling reporters that the strikes were, his words, in honor of the troops who were killed.
They've got very little left. They've got some missiles. They've got some drones. They've got some manufacturing ability, not much. We control the strait. They don't control anything. So we'll see what happens, but we hit them very hard again tonight.
3 service members killed in Jordan, another one killed in Iraq after a controlled detonation of an Iranian drone. Iran's supreme leader still talking tough. Basically, the memorandum of understanding that everybody tried to make a big deal out of, that most of us looked at and went, this is garbage. It's meaningless. Just forget that thing ever existed. It was absolutely worthless. And we're hearing the same thing out of everybody that we heard 4 months ago.
Oh, yeah. There's really nothing new to add to this except more bombs are falling now.
Yeah. The national average for a gallon of gas back up to $4 a gallon. Just barely over $4 as of this morning. The average price in Missouri, according to AAA, $3.65 around the state. In Illinois, $4.15. Around the metro, I found average prices ranging from $3.42 in Washington County, Missouri, up to $4.26 in Monroe County, Illinois. One clear variable: which side of the river are you on? That is all taxes.
And of course, the way that gasoline and such is priced is with the futures of energy and stuff like that, which is going to be affected, of course, by what's going on with Iran. But at the same time, the degree that we're feeling that really comes down to what the state has done about taxing this stuff. So keep that in mind, Illinois.
Yeah, so if you're in Illinois, I got like a bunch of my teammates live in Illinois, and they openly talk about, when we play a game in Missouri, fill up with gas while you're here.
Bring a 1-gallon jug or something with you.
And if you think about it, I mean, let's say like if you got a truck that's a 15, 18 gallon, I think my SUV is 13 gallons tank, but if you've got a 15, 18, even if you have a bigger truck, let's say a 15 gallon tank. And you save $1 a gallon just by buying in Missouri. Well, it's $15.
Yeah.
If you can do that regular, that adds up after a while.
Oh, absolutely. Because most people have to get gas once every 2 or so weeks.
I fill up probably 3 times a month. But if I'm in baseball season, in baseball season right now, because I'm traveling to games, probably once a week.
Yeah.
All right. House Republicans moving forward with a budget reconciliation package that includes funding for the ongoing war in Iran, some other national defense spending, and some voter regulations. Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn, she's from Tennessee, as you probably know, was on Sunday Morning Futures on Fox, and she says she's confident that Republicans are going to prevent another government shutdown.
We're going to keep the doors open and allow our military to actually enter into these contracting projects that are going to help to keep our nation safe.
The budget reconciliation bill contains parts of the Save America Act, and that includes grants encouraging states to adopt voter identification requirements. If you want to learn more about that, check out our podcast, because Congressman Bob Onder was on a little bit earlier talking about that. All right, a major university, we're talking a major public university, is promoting transgender ideology to children. Michael Harrington's got the story.
The medical school at the University of Minnesota is selling dolls for what it calls, quote, transgender and gender diverse children. The dolls are aimed at youngsters ages 4 to 10 and are intended for what the university calls therapeutic play. Apparently, the toys can be modified with different outfits and hairstyles to mix male and female characteristics. Critics are decrying the dolls as a grooming tool and question the funding for the project. Michael Harrington reporting.
It is 100% grooming. There are no so-called transgender children. If those kids are struggling with that, it's because some absolute horrific parents injected that into their brain, or the schools did it. I mean, this is horrible. Your tax dollars at work.
Yeah, when I was young, I spent a lot of time with my cousins. My older cousin's a guy, 3 younger female cousins, and they had Barbies and G.I. Joes. We would put the G.I. Joe stuff on the Barbies because we thought it was funny. You know, sometimes we'd dress up like my aunt, my mom, and, you know, like little kids do, you know, because we thought it was funny. I am so thankful that they did not look at us and say, they might be girls.
Must be transgender.
Yeah, let's get you to a therapist that'll convince you to follow through with it.
Affirm that.
Affirm that.
This is gross. All right. Governor Kathy Hochul from New York temporarily blocking the construction of any new data centers in the entire state, possibly for up to a year. That would make New York the first state to do that on a statewide basis. The governor defending the move as a temporary measure on Face the Nation on CBS.
I'm asking everybody to say, take a breath. This is not the end of the world. We'll get through this. And New York always leads in a smart way. And that's what I'm really proud of what we're doing here.
Okay, New York rarely leads in a smart way, but that's separate from this because, you know, there are moratoriums, obviously, around here. St. Charles County just enacted a moratorium, and there are others around the country. But that's the first time a state has done it. Yeah. All right, there is a new member of the Trump administration.
Who dat?
Okay, not really. But Vice President J.D. Vance and his wife, Usha, announcing the birth of their 4th child this weekend.
Oh.
Alec Neal Vance was born Sunday morning at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Now, the last time that a sitting vice president's child was born, as in when they're in office, was the birth of Schuyler Colfax III in 1870.
Wow.
And all accounts say that mama and baby are doing well. All right, the Cardinals end up losing 2 of their 3 series games to the Diamondbacks over the weekend. Not a great start to the second part of the season. Arizona walked it off in the 10th inning last night. Cardinals actually had a pretty good lead and just lost it. Final score was 8-7. Redbirds start a series with the Angels tonight. Game time is 9:10 Central because they're out on the West Coast. And Kyle Leahy will be on the mound for St. Louis.